Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto trains with scrolls during the Chunin exams part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Imagine for a moment that you're an ordinary citizen of Konoha. The shinobi tend to keep you out of the loop, and that's fine. Ninja stuff is ninja stuff and you'd rather not know the gory details anyway, but you've noticed something. It was rather hard to miss, really. There is a boy in Konoha with whiskers, a boy who turned up in an orphanage the day after the Ninetales attacked and was allegedly killed. This whiskered boy takes every possible chance to cause trouble. He spray paints the sacred monuments of your culture and laughs about it. It starts to look almost like he has something against Konoha. You put 2 and 2 together. Maybe the Ninetales didn't exactly die that day 7 years ago. What do? Obviously you mention it to the next Chunin you see. They tell you they'll investigate the situation. 2 weeks later nothing has come of it. So you warily make your way through the academy. Warily because these kids can spit fireballs and you hire them to do your laundry. At least some of them are sure to dislike you. You never actually notice that these kids in particular are younger than the ones you've hired, not actually genin yet. But regardless, you speak to a secretary with an office not far from the Hokage zone. You explain your concerns. She tells you they'll investigate the situation. That's a bit off-putting. You're starting to get suspicious now, and since you're already there, you book an appointment with the Hokage. He's a busy man and you'll have to wait another 2 weeks or so, but that's fine, that's the time frame you want. Still nothing happens, no breaks in the boy's schedule of pranks and mischief, no announcement from the shinobi, nothing. So you proceed to your appointment with the Hokage and explain, for a third time, why you think something is wrong. You come right out and say it this time. You think he's the Ninetales in human form. The third Hokage tells you he'll investigate the situation. He doesn't look fazed. Maybe it's just a ninja thing, or maybe he's said this many times before. Apparently the world is out to get you and no one is ever going to actually look into this Uzumaki kid's backstory. Rather, it's clear now that the shinobi already knows something and aren't about to tell a civilian the truth. You know the truth, but you're still a civilian. You can't use that fancy fire release magic to dry your laundry. You have to do it the old-fashioned way or hire a genin. You found a drop kunai once and tried throwing it, just to see if it was as easy as they made it look. It wasn't. You hit your target with the pommel and went home with your cheeks on fire. So what can you do about this problem? Not much, and you're painfully aware of it. You can keep your distance from the Ninetales, give him cold looks and jack the prices up high if he ever wanders into your convenience store. That's about it. You'd have to be drunk as hell to do anything more. There is a certain day of the year where getting drunk as hell is normal in Konoha. October 10th, the day the 4th Hokage died. You drink to celebrate his life, to mourn his death, to forget that the little monster painted the word cheapskate on all of your windows, and then you spot him out of the corner of your eye. You get up and follow him. He notices, runs, and suddenly your plan seems about 20 times less brilliant. You forgot that he's a ninja in training. He can casually jump from the street to the roof of a 2-story building, and you're so drunk that you wobble when you run. No avenging the 4th Hokage for you anytime soon, and by the time you get home you realize that he might actually be just a 7-year-old kid, which means you were trying to. You sit, throw up in a bucket, rethink your life a bit. But there are others like you. October 10th was not Naruto Uzumaki's favorite day of the year. It was funny the first few times they tried and epically failed to catch him, but after that the amusement wore off and he started worrying. What would they do if they ever got me? Finding out didn't seem particularly appealing. They were civilians and had about as much killing intent as a bowl of wet grapes, so maybe they'd just freeze for a minute and then awkwardly let him go. Even so, Naruto had no interest in finding out. He started steering clear of people on his birthday, regularly planned to spend the day in a secluded training ground instead. He chose Training Ground 42. No one liked it. It was a huge expanse of shattered granite that had been a quarry before the Ninetales decided to step on it a few times. The terrain was uneven and wobbly. Step on a slab of granite the wrong way and it could tip, slide down, fall, and you could get a painful scrape or two. It was fine for practicing ninjutsu though, including the clone jutsu. What a birthday gift that would be, to learn the one jutsu holding him back from graduating at 10. Sasuke Uchiha and his fancy fireballs could suck on that. Naruto graduating 2 years early while he stayed set to become a genin at 12. Clone jutsu. A pale, shriveled, and dead-eyed parody of a blonde 10-year-old popped into existence with a cloud of white smoke. Naruto groaned, and dispelled the clone. Clone jutsu. This time, nothing at all emerged from the smoke. Come on. I know I can do this. If I can't learn the clone jutsu, what kind of Hokage would I be? Clone jutsu. This time the cloud of smoke was massive, and through it, Naruto glimpsed an upright figure. Did I do it? The smoke cleared, revealing another garbage clone and Hinata Hyuga. Ga! Naruto stepped back. Immediately, his instincts connected someone's looking at me and it's my birthday, with the result being run. And Naruto-kun? Hinata, as per usual, was avoiding eye contact, staring at her index fingers as she played with them. The blonde ninja recognized her and calmed down, though he was still a little shaky from the adrenaline coursing through his body. He sighed in relief. Hey, Hinata-chan. What are you doing all the way out here? IIC came to see you, Naruto-kun. You're always out here, training alone all day, whenever your birthday comes around. That must be sad. She took a deep breath, and reached into a pocket on her gray coat. IC came to give you this, she declared in a desperate, panicked voice, but whatever she tried to pull out of her pocket got stuck, and she blushed deeper than usual, trying to free the item as though her life depended on it. Hinata, relax, it's okay. Naruto said this quietly, unsure if it would make any difference, but continued, you're gonna be a genin in a couple of years, a kunoichi, believe it. So just calm down. Whatever's always got you so freaked out, I'm sure you can handle it, easy. Hinata was silent at this. She had managed to free the green scroll from her pocket, and was now staring at it, not sure what to do. Then she blinked and held out the scroll shakily. This is for you, Naruto-kun. Happy birthday. He took the scroll, speechless at the thought of an actual birthday present, and opened it. It was a step-by-step instruction for a perfect execution of the clone jutsu, with far more detail than the lessons at the academy. Hinata-chan, this is the best birthday ever. He screeched gleefully, and hugged her, dropping the scroll in the process. Must not faint, must not faint, must not faint. Hinata blushed a darker red than she ever had in her life, but managed to stay conscious. She heard what sounded like sobbing on her shoulder. Naruto-kun can't possibly be crying, right? And Naruto-kun, are you alright? Yeah, I am fine, it's just this is the nicest thing anyone's ever done for me. Naruto interrupted himself to weep loudly. Hinata-chan, you're the best. And now I'm finally gonna learn the clone jutsu, and I got my first birthday present ever, and he sobbed again, still with his head on her shoulder. I'm gonna make it up to you, Hinata-chan, believe it. As he released her from the embrace, Hinata stammered, and Naruto-kun, that really isn't you don't have to. I'll start by showing you this great ramen place. It's the best in town and I live on the stuff. All you can eat, on me, Hinata-chan. Naruto was still sniffling, but as abruptly as his crying had begun, it had stopped. He beamed at her, blue eyes wide with joy despite the tears dripping down his cheeks. A date? Did Naruto just ask me on a date? Thus began a beautiful friendship that would shape the rest of their lives, and change Konoha forever. Come on, Hinata-chan, dig in. Naruto slurped back a huge mouthful of pork ramen. Tucci and Ayam glanced at each other, wide-eyed. Both of them were wondering how Naruto had managed to bring the princess of the Hyuga clan into Ichiraku ramen, and make it look suspiciously like a date. Hinata shook free of her stupor with a gasp, turning to face Naruto. Lots of people say it's disgusting and unhealthy, but take my word for it, it's great. He slurped more noodles to accentuate the point. Hinata nodded, and snapped apart a pair of chopsticks. She sank the tips into the golden broth, taking up a sizable bundle of noodles. She glanced at Naruto, who had turned back to his bowl and was shoveling the stuff back. She brought the ramen to her lips, tasted it, and found it was no less delicious than Naruto had claimed. She slurped the noodles with increasing speed until she was on par with Naruto. While Ayam was bringing him a second bowl, Naruto turned to watch Hinata, hunched over her bowl with a proud smile showing through the noodles that dangled from her mouth. Wow, I've never seen anyone eat ramen that fast. She finished the noodles, and drank the bowl of broth in mere seconds. Wow, you're even faster than me. That's amazing. Naruto beamed, flipping a thumbs up. For a moment Hinata forgot her shyness and smiled back, but then she blushed sharply and looked down. Hey, Hinata-chan, can I ask you something? Why yes? Why are you so shy all the time? You keep looking down and blushing and doing this thing with your fingers. He imitated the gesture. You've got so much to be proud of. You're the princess of the Hyuga. You can use the Byakugan. You're one of the best students in the academy. And he cut himself off when he noticed the fresh bowl of ramen in front of him, sucking back a huge mouthful of noodles. And you're really pretty too. Hinata flushed so deeply and suddenly, it actually hurt. Pretty? She stammered. Believe it. I mean, what do I know? I'm 10. I'm still supposed to think girls are icky. He said this through a mouthful of ramen, shrugging. Then why are you always asking Sakura on a date? Her blush darkened tenfold, but it couldn't be unsaid. Naruto shrugged. She was the first pretty girl I saw in the academy. I like seeing her smile. She's obsessed with Sasuke and I want to snap her out of it. Lots of little reasons. A second bowl was set in front of Hinata then, and she turned to face it shakily. I had no idea, she mused aloud. Naruto-kun, I guess I'm so shy because I really admire you. Huh? Naruto blinked as he turned to face her, with the ramen noodles in his mouth now dripping broth onto his pants. You admire me? Why? Everyone ignores you or bully you, and you still smile. You're all alone but you're happy. You don't resent anyone for bullying you, and you come to school every day saying you'll be Hokage, and they'll all have to respect you then. That's why. You're so strong, Naruto-kun, strong like a Hokage. Wow, that's gotta be the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. So, aren't you concerned with what they all say about me? How I'm some kind of demon and all that. Like, not just a delinquent or something. They have to be all melodramatic about it, and pretend I'm the freaking Kyuubi. Stupid civilians, he sulked silently. No way. That was the strongest voice he'd ever heard her use. You're not a demon, Naruto-kun. I don't care who says what about you. You'll be Hokage one day, I never doubted it. Thanks, Hinata-chan. I'm sure you'll get really strong too. 2 years later, clone jutsu. A perfect illusory copy of Naruto appeared in a puff of smoke, grinning proudly and flipping a thumbs up to Irika. This, the result of 2 years' worth of chakra control training, shocked everyone in the classroom except Hinata, who beamed. And now we'll be genin together, Naruto. Irika blinked. Naruto blinked back, still grinning. You pass, Naruto. Next, he sighed in relief and took his seat next to Hinata. You did it, Naruto. Yeah! Naruto shouted, throwing a fist in the air. This got the attention of every student in the class. That headband's gonna look great on me, believe it? He took the pair of goggles off his forehead and shook his spiky blonde hair vigorously. Mizuki scowled at the back of the room. Time for Plan B. Steal the Hokage's scroll myself. Naruto smirked mischievously as he placed the chalk eraser atop the door in anticipation of his new sensei's arrival. Every year, the graduating prodigy, dead last, and most promising genjutsu specialist are placed together on a team. Upholding that tradition, this year's first genin team will consist of the top student Sasuke Uchiha, the weakest student Rock Lee, and the student with the greatest potential for genjutsu, Sakura Haruno. Team 7, your sensei will be Kakashi Hatake. Our next team, I'm proud to announce, was assembled by the Hokage himself. Allow me to introduce Team 8, Taijutsu Specialist Hinata Hyuga, Ninjutsu Specialist Naruto Uzumaki, and Tracking Specialist Kiba Inuzuka. Your sensei will be the son of the Hokage himself, Asuma Sarutobi. Isn't Kakashi the one who's late for everything? Kiba groaned, once again. Said Jounin had showed up and whisked away the only other remaining team, mere minutes ago. It's been 3 freaking hours, Naruto, what are you doing? I'm pranking the son of the Hokage. He set the eraser in place and returned to his seat. No Jounin is ever gonna fall for a stupid prank like that, Hinata spoke up. Asuma-sensei's coming. I can see him with my Byakugan, he doesn't suspect a thing. Hinata, you're helping him with this? Her only reply was to shush Kiba, who groaned again. The door opened, and the eraser landed with a puff of chalky dust on Asuma's head. Kiba gaped in total disbelief. Hinata giggled, blushing and covering her mouth with her hand. Naruto laughed loud enough to be heard throughout the building. Okay, first impressions. Asuma took a drag on his cigarette. I gotta say I'm happy I got you guys instead of Ino Shikucho. Nothing against him, but the thing is, you 3 don't fit together like puzzle pieces, and that's why it'll be so engaging to train you. He turned. Follow me, we're going to the roof. Asuma-sensei Hinata spoke up quietly, as the 3 freshly minted genin got up from their seats. What exactly have you been doing for 3 hours? Talking with Kakashi Hatake about your first few lessons. Asuma blew out a smoke ring. So, Irika tells me you were all decent students, heirs to 3 powerful clans. Naruto of the Uzumaki clan, masters of sealing jutsu. Hinata of the Hyuga clan, greatest taijutsu users in the world via the all-seeing Byakugan. Kiba of the Inuzuka clan, renowned ninja hound trainers and the greatest tracker ninjas in Konoha. You guys look promising. He took another drag on his cigarette. So, do you guys know your elemental affinities for ninjutsu? And Naruto-kun 10-year-old Hinata made her way through the crowd of students fleeing the classroom, wading through to Naruto's side. The blonde Jinchuriki waited for her, smiling. I brought some ninjutsu and taijutsu scrolls from the Hyuga clan library, anything that wasn't tied to the Hyuga, since those jutsu require a Byakugan. Sounds great, Hinata-chan. Come on, training ground 17 is good for ninjutsu practice. Wait, Naruto-kun. I have something else. She held out a small white cardboard box. These are chakra sensing papers, for learning our nature types. They're not expensive, but you can only buy them if you're already a ninja. I had one of my cousins buy us a few, so we'll know which elements to focus our training on. Mine's wind release, Naruto declared proudly, puffing out his chest. 'Cause you're full of hot air, Kiba replied, smirking. Bite me, Kiba. No, wait, Naruto paused thoughtfully. I take that back, 'cause you might actually bite me, like I haven't heard that one a million times. A dog joke, how original. I have the water release, Hinata interrupted. I don't know many ninjutsu, but I can use it to fight when I'm out of taijutsu range. I never bothered with nature types, Kiba said with a shrug. Inuzuka clan jutsu have always been enough for me. You might want to look into elemental jutsu, Kiba. Every Kage in history, Hokage or otherwise, has known and used their nature type. Asuma let a puff of smoke through his lips. We're here, he declared, and opened the door to the roof. Okay, everybody sit down. Let's talk a little more. Asuma sat comfortably on the rooftop, and put out his finished cigarette. My name is Asuma Sarutobi. I like cigarettes and working with my fellow jounin. I hate, he paused inside, that moment when you have a cigarette in your mouth and a hand in your pocket, only to find that you left your lighter in your other flak jacket. I hate that. My hobby is shogi, it's my favorite game and I'm rather good at it. My dream, and you speak of this to no one, is to defeat Shikamaru Nara in a game of shogi. Now tell me a bit about yourselves. We'll start with you, Naruto. My name, Naruto announced this loudly and with pride, is Naruto Uzumaki. I like Hinata-chan and ramen, but best of all I like having ramen with Hinata-chan. I don't particularly hate anything. My hobby is training with Hinata-chan, and my dream is to be the greatest Hokage, and I'll pull it off, believe it. Hinata blushed each time Naruto said her name, a fact not lost on Asuma. Okay, Hinata, your turn. Her eyes widened. And me? Okay, I'm Hinata Hyuga. I like Naruto-kun, Ichiraku ramen, and making progress with our training. I think the only thing I hate is the caged bird seal. My hobby is training with Naruto, and I have 3 dreams. First, I want to see Naruto become Hokage. Also, I want to learn the 8 trigrams 64 palms, and my 3rd dream is to end the use of the caged bird seal. Someday when I'm head of the Hyuga clan, I'll get rid of it forever. She took a deep but quiet breath, and smiled. That was interesting, Hinata. Alright, Kiba, you're up. I'm Kiba Inuzuka. I like Akamaru, beef jerky, and Inuzuka clan jutsu. I hate cats. My hobby is doing just about anything with Akamaru, including but limited to chasing cats, learning new jutsu, and peeing on stuff. Kiba giggled. I don't have any really crucial dreams, but I'd like to track down Akatsuki and capture them. That'd make me the greatest tracker nin ever. And being Hokage would be nice, but Naruto's got dibs on it. So all 3 of you count training as a hobby? That's a good sign. Asuma nodded with a smile. Alright, that's it for today. Go home, get some rest, and tomorrow morning, skip breakfast. You'll just end up losing it anyway. I'm gonna have to test you guys, and I won't make it easy. If you pass, you're genin, and we'll start missions whenever you want. If not, you're headed back to the academy. The 3 12-year-olds winced at that statement. Naruto slumped in unconsciousness against one of the 3 wooden posts that someone had placed in Training Ground 42. Here he had befriended Hinata, learned the clone jutsu, and once a year, took refuge from an angry mob. It seemed ironic and fitting that here was where he would become a true genin. He snored. Had he been awake, he would have felt Hinata's head shifting on his shoulder in response to the sudden sound, but both of them were asleep with the rising sun to their backs. She murmured something incoherent in her sleep, then fell silent again. Kiba scratched Akamaru behind the ears. The white puppy yawned and stretched happily, then barked to greet Asuma, who sat down with a smirk next to Kiba. How long have they been like that? The Jounin asked quietly. Kiba smirked back. They were like this when Akamaru and I showed up. Okay, Asuma chuckled quietly. I'll test their reflexes then. He stood, and took a defensive stance, ready to dodge any attack. Hey! Wake up, wind release, water release, collaboration secret jutsu. Hurricane bullet. Asuma's eyes widened as the 2 shot to their feet, performing hand seals in sync as they shouted this. The fearlessness in Hinata's eyes was particularly shocking. Naruto performed the air bullet while Hinata performed the water bullet, and the 2 attacks melded together into a mist that somehow looked sharp. Asuma threw himself to the side, dodging the attack with ease. Not bad, but you just wasted plenty of chakra when you could have just thrown a couple kunai. It wasn't even a particularly strong jutsu, but now that you're awake, it's time for your exam. Asuma pulled 2 silver bells out of his pocket and jingled them. Straight to the point. You 3 have an hour to get both of these from me. At the end of that hour, whoever's got a bell passes. Anyone without a bell is going back to the academy, and if that's not enough, these bells are your tickets to lunch. Go without a bell, and you go without food. Asuma tied the bells to his waist, pulled out and lit a cigarette, and took 2 steps back. Begin. Naruto charged forward with a dramatic roar, and was kicked in the gut for his effort. Ugh, he crumpled. I thought you were the ninjutsu user on this team, Naruto. Hinata stood with concern in her lavender Byakugan eyes, and helped Naruto to a kneeling position. Yeah, you're right, Asuma-sensei, he coughed. I gotta stop getting ahead of myself. Asuma-sensei. Hinata looked up from a kneeling and coughing Naruto to face the Jounin. I've never seen a genin team with any less than 3 genin, and no more either. Kiba's eyes widened as he immediately realized her point. The bells, they aren't the point at all. Naruto listened to Hinata continue, having not figured it out yet. But you only have 2 bells, and that's supposed to turn us against each other. But a shinobi team has to stick together. Naruto grinned with sudden comprehension. We're supposed to take you down together. Asuma disappeared, replaced by a breeze and a few leaves. The body flicker jutsu. Hinata settled into a relaxed, gentle fist taijutsu stance, scanning the area in all directions with her Byakugan. Kiba, I can't see him. Can Akamaru detect his scent? Akamaru whined. Sorry, we got nothing, Kiba replied. He must be masking his scent. There's a jutsu for that, but it's an A-rank genjutsu. He's taking this seriously. Then so will we. Naruto stood, having recovered from Asuma's kick. When we find him, I'll use my air bullet, and maybe my wind S. No, Naruto, Hinata interrupted, timid but determined. An assault like that just won't work. He's too strong and fast, she blushed, and added, but if we use that jutsu. Yeah, Naruto replied solemnly. It doesn't matter how good he is, if we pull that one off, he's done for. What jutsu are you guys talking about? Kiba's voice shook very slightly. If you think it can take out a fully rested and prepared jounin, where the hell would you learn a jutsu like that? We've only been genin for 3 days. We didn't learn it, Naruto said proudly. We made it up ourselves. Only we know it, me and Hinata, believe it. So we should probably just use it as a last resort, keep it between us. Several minutes later, they found Asuma, who watched them approach over the hills and ditches of shattered rock. You're gonna need real killing intent if you want to get these bells, the son of the Hokage proclaimed. All right. Hinata, are you ready? Naruto called as he flew through the air. Yes. Hinata replied cheerfully at his side. Kiba-kun, wait for the signal. No problem. Akamaru barked as his master said this. Naruto reached out and clasped Hinata's hand with his own. As always, she blushed at this, but it was crucial for this technique. Get ready, Asuma-sensei, Naruto called, as he built up almost all of his wind-release chakra. Hinata closed her eyes and turned off her Byakugan, focusing her chakra into the water release. Their intertwined hands came apart, and they each formed a set of hand seals in sync. Collaboration Secret Jutsu. Naruto yelled with a gleeful grin. Water release, wind release. The sky darkened as the two melted their chakra together, and storm clouds gathered. They called out in stereo, snow release, snowstorm battlefield. Whoa, Kiba quietly observed as the snow began to fall. They altered the weather. Is this their awesome jutsu? Akamaru whined, watching the two confront Asuma. The Sarutobi clan jounin sighed. Fine, I'll admit it. That's the coolest thing I've ever seen two genin do, but it's useless. All this is gonna do is give everyone here a cold, and you're just about out of chakra, both of you. Show-offs, he muttered. Naruto and Hinata slumped forward, panting. I've still got gas in the tank, Naruto answered, but his voice sounded weary and tired. Which is the whole point. He straightened and made 6 more hand seals. Wind release, wind scar. Naruto slammed his hands down on the granite slab he stood on, sending out a wave of wind in Asuma's direction. That jutsu is only a low C rank, what's he up to? The wind caught the falling snow and carried it, growing in size and breadth. It's too wide. I can't just jump aside. Asuma scowled and spat out his cigarette, using the body flicker jutsu to move clear to the side of the wind scar. Thunder clapped, and the storm disappeared with unnatural speed. Naruto panted, but stood proudly before his sensei, with no more than 10 feet of distance between them. What now, kid? You've got enough chakra left for maybe 1 D-rank jutsu, and I'm at a proper taijutsu range. Kiba's the only one with any real chakra reserves left. Yeah, like I said, we're going somewhere with this. Naruto laughed weakly, but Asuma took it as a bluff. He clasped his hands together in the dog hand seal, then boar, then finally the ram seal. Transformation jutsu. A plume of smoke surrounded him completely. Asuma blinked. Pfft. That's it. A disguise? Water release, water bullet. Asuma prepared to dodge, but he turned to look at the attack and saw how weak it was, little more than a splash of azure water. She didn't even have enough chakra to aim it right. It's gonna hit Naruto. The smoke of the transformation cleared, revealing an older, female, and very attractive version of Naruto, clad in an orange bikini and dripping wet. Asuma's eyes bugged out of his head, and blood trickled out of his nostrils. So, Asuma-sensei, she purred, how do you like my sexy jutsu? Asuma simply stared, slack-jawed, until Hinata walked up and kicked him in the groin. He shrieked like a little girl from the sudden agony, and the Hyuga princess named the technique, Forbidden Taijutsu, Single Strike of Eternal Pain. Kiba, you can take the bells now. Hinata, Kiba replied as he plucked the bells from Asuma's belt and tossed one to her. I never would have guessed you'd be the kind of kunoichi who'd kick her sensei in the balls. We're ninjas, she said sweetly and innocently, while Naruto returned to his normal form. All we're supposed to do is complete the mission within the parameters set for us, and we protect our team above all else. That's as far as chivalry reaches into the life of a ninja. Kiba whistled. That's the best ninja I've ever heard. He blanched suddenly, and looked down at Asuma, who was rolling around on the ground in agony. Wait, was that the super awesome jutsu you guys were talking about? A kick in the sack? No way, Naruto said proudly. Our ultimate jutsu is the sexy jutsu. A few more seconds of staring at it, and he'd have passed out anyway. Believe it. How the hell does Naruto get you to go along with stuff like this? Kiba asked, clearly unimpressed. I guess he just wore off on me over the years, she replied with a blush and a smile. Naruto, being the container of the Kyuubi, son of the 4th Hokage, and likely the greatest prankster in Konoha's history, had found himself sitting before the 3rd Hokage more times than he cared to count. The old man had been there for him since his birth, and was the closest thing to a father figure Naruto had ever known. Now, however, he was uncomfortable here, if only for the sake of his friends. Kiba and Hinata sat to either side of him before the Hokage's ancient desk, and they too looked worried. The third son, their Jounin sensei, had spent the previous day in the hospital, having lost a worrying amount of blood through the nose and having suffered a kick to the groin so vicious, it would have made Madara Uchiha himself wince. The Hokage entered the room, wearing a solemn expression and puffing on his ever-present clay pipe. I'm sure you 3 are wondering why I've called you here. I'll start by mentioning that Asuma has told me. I'm sorry Hokage-sama, please don't punish them, it was all my idea. Naruto. The Hokage silenced the genin, sternly but not angrily. As I was saying, Asuma has told me you did exceptionally well in your belt test, deploying several original jutsu, collaboration techniques, and fantastic teamwork. He did divulge to me the exact nature of your strategy, and I must say I'm impressed, if a little amused. Naruto blinked, his mouth not quite shut properly. You're impressed? The Hokage puffed on his pipe with a benevolent smile and nodded. You three have shown exceptional promise, and Asuma has asked me to give you a C-rank mission immediately. Whoa, Kiba breathed. A C-rank? Already? That's awesome. Believe it, Naruto added. You'll be escorting a carpenter by the name of Tazuna to his home in the Land of Waves. His homeland has been having a problem with bandits, and you'll be protecting him and his workers until he finishes his current project. He's promised to give C-rank pay to each of you upon his safe arrival in the Land of Waves. It didn't take long after that for Team 8 to eagerly make for the door, giddily intent on preparing for their first mission all day. However, the Hokage sent a chill down Naruto's spine by calling him back. Don't leave just yet, Naruto. We still have to talk. Ah, crap, I'm so dead. He shuddered and turned back toward his grandfather figure, taking up his seat once more. The rest of Team 8 filed out of the office, with both Hinata and Kiba throwing concerned glances back at their new teammate. Once they were gone, however, the Hokage pulled a mostly plain-looking ninja scroll out of his desk, laying it before Naruto. Perplexed, the boy leaned forward and squinted at the spiral mark on each end of the scroll. Ah, Hokage-jiji, what's this? The professor sighed. I'm sorry I couldn't show you this years ago, my boy, but they asked me not to. I can only hope they'll be able to provide a decent explanation, since I don't have one. He unfurled the scroll across his desk, revealing what Naruto recognized as a seal of some kind. The swirls of black ink lit up and cast a warm yellow-white glow about the room, which gradually coalesced into two distinctly human figures. Hello, Naruto, the woman with long, smooth red hair spoke up first. My name's Kushina Uzumaki, and I'm your mom. The blonde man standing next to her smiled cheerily, remaining silent until she elbowed him sharply. You've got to say hi too, you know. Oh, right. The man beamed once more. I'm Minato Namikaze, I'm your father, Naruto. Kami, I hope he doesn't ever have to see this, Kushina moaned. Can you imagine how hard this would hit him? Naruto blinked, still not fully registering what he was seeing. He noted with worrying calm that his mother had just confirmed his suspicions that this was a pre-made recording and nothing more. No, Minato answered honestly. But I think even if we do live, we'll probably show him this one day. Once he's old enough, of course. He turned back to face Naruto, or whatever system had been recording the conversation. Naruto, we recorded this for you because we've been preparing over the last several months to expect an attack on the village, probably on your birthday. It's entirely possible that one or both of us could die if that attack really comes to pass, so we wanted you to meet us. We thought. Kushina hesitated, then shook her head and spoke up. We thought of making arrangements so you'd know who we were your whole life. If one of us dies and the other survives, that's the plan we'll go with. But if you've lost us both, Naruto, she rubbed her eyes and sighed shakily. Well, in that case, we've decided to wait to show you this until you graduate from the academy. It was a hard choice, Minato went on. But we thought that if we weren't here with you, it'd be best if you grew up not knowing about us. If you knew who we were, you might have felt that you had to live up to some kind of standard we set, or even worse, you might have started thinking you were entitled to greatness just because of who we were. It could go either way, without us there to help you find your own path in life. But now that you're all grown up, now that you're a ninja and you've learned how to be responsible, Kushina smiled sadly, you're ready to hear all of this. And now that you know who we were, we can give you your inheritance, and trust you not to hurt yourself with it, she chuckled. See, you're actually from a ninja clan, Naruto. The Uzumaki were never as well known as the Uchiha or Hyuga, for instance, but we can trace our lineage back through the centuries. We have a clan compound here in Konoha, even if it's just a little one, and now it's yours. Minato scratched the back of his head sheepishly. I'm sorry, Naruto, I don't really have anything to offer like that. My parents, your grandparents, were both Chunin whose own parents were civilians. I'm not from a clan, and as the Hokage I can't just leave you all of my assets as inheritance. All of the funds and resources under my name will probably be spent on repairing the village, assuming that possible attack really comes to pass, that is. So I'm sorry, Naruto, but it's your mother who has to make up for 12 years or so of missed birthday presents. The most I can give you is some hand-me-down shinobi gear. He's not the kind of kid who cares that much about material things. Kushina rubbed her belly, at last drawing Naruto's attention to it. By the time he becomes a genin, he'll already be way more grown up than that. Believe it, my father was the fourth Hokage. Naruto sat on the polished oak floor of his new bedroom, in front of a cherrywood trunk with the kanji for fire burned into the lid. Said lid had been opened, and Naruto now had a folded white haori in his lap. The note attached said, "It may take a while before you grow into this, but I hope you like it all the same. Love, Dad." He unfolded the haori, noting the pattern of flames along the bottom. This was an authentic copy of Minato Namikaze's haori, Probably one of his spares, since he had been wearing one in battle against the Kyuubi. Naruto started crying. It wasn't something he did often, but he never tried to suppress it when the tears came. He decided that since he cried so rarely, the times when he did were somehow important. It was then that he noticed an uncomfortable tingling in his eyes, and he stood up, making his way into the bathroom connected to the master bedroom of the manor. He looked in the mirror, blinking away tears and discomfort, but he could see nothing wrong with his reflection in the mirror. He looked down at his father's Haori in the mirror. "I'm gonna make you guys proud," he said aloud to no one, then sniffled. "I'm gonna be Hokage." He unzipped his neon orange jacket, shrugging it off and replacing it with the Haori of the fourth Hokage. "Believe it!" Tazuna took a swig of sake and scowled. He turned and glared at the Hokage. "I paid for 4 ninjas. I'm looking at 1 ninja and 2 useless brats. At best that adds up to 3 people." He hiccuped. "Can't you idiots even count? Don't worry, you've paid for 4 ninjas and you will have your money's worth. You will be safe." The Hokage chuckled. "And the 4th is on his way." "What's so funny? It's just ironic the 4th is on his way." "You wouldn't understand, but it's probably the most ironic sentence you've ever heard." Hinata and Kiba exchanged glances, while Asuma puffed on his cigarette, completely at ease. "Kiba-kun, can you smell Naruto?" "Yeah, he's almost here," Kiba replied with a sniff. Akamaru barked in agreement. "Took him long enough though. Maybe he's been talking with Kakashi," Asuma joked. The doors to the Hokage's office opened, and Naruto entered. The third blinked as he immediately noticed the Haori Naruto wore. Underneath it he wore his favorite shirt, black with a fiery orange spiral on his chest, and pants of the darkest orange anyone had ever seen on Naruto. "Sorry I'm so late, everyone," he said with a soft smile. "I got here as fast as I could, believe it, but I slept in by accident." Sheepishly, he looked down and scratched the back of his head. There were 2 reasons for this. 1. His new bed in his parents' manor was incredibly comfortable. 2. He'd opened the Uzumaki clan trunk just before he went to bed. There had been envelopes he could open but didn't, a scroll he was completely unable to pry open, and most importantly a mound of gold coins filling the entire trunk, which was big enough to cram 2 or maybe 3 people into. It was like something out of a pirate movie. This left him wide awake until well past midnight. "And Naruto-kun?" Hinata greeted him happily. "He looks really different with that coat on. It's a good look for him," she noted. Kiba, meanwhile, cracked an amused smirk. "It's like he doesn't know that coat is meant for a guy twice his size." Typical Naruto. "Hey, Hinata." He turned to face Tazuna. "You must be the bridge builder, Tazuna. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, genin of Konoha and your bodyguard for the next month or so." He bowed politely. Tazuna opened his mouth to spit out another insult, but then Naruto's words registered, and he realized the slick little bastard had threatened him. "Your bodyguard for the next month translates as your life and well-being are in my hands for the next month." "Whatever. Keep me alive until the bridge is built, and I'll pay you." "That's as far as this goes, we don't have to be friends." "Fair enough. Let's get you home." Naruto Kiba stared as the Jinchuriki passed him by, smiling but not grinning. "What the hell happened to you? You were never this subtle, about anything. Your clothes, how you talk, even that stupid grin." "And Naruto?" Hinata spoke up and walked beside Naruto. "Are you feeling all right?" "Never better, Hinata." He let out one of his famous gleeful grins. "But what was with you and Tazuna?" "Oh, that? I know by looking at Kiba that this baka was bothering you, so I wanted to tell him off, but a Hokage would be more, what's the word? Tactful." "And where did the coat come from?" "My dad left it to me." Naruto beamed. "Oh, that reminds me." He reached into his weapons pouch and pulled out an odd-looking kunai, with a bright yellow hilt and a 3-pronged blade. "Flying Thunder God kunai. I have a whole bunch with me." He handed it to her, and she took it. "My dad somehow used these to teleport, but he left me a letter saying I'd have to learn Fuin Jutsu to understand how." "The Hiraishin," Hinata breathed. "The Flying Thunder God Jutsu." She handed the kunai back. "That's an S-rank jutsu that only Hokage have ever learned. It's legendary." Naruto waved his hand. "Keep it, I have spares. Besides, unless I learn the jutsu, it's just a really cool kunai." "Thanks, Naruto." She smiled, and stashed the kunai in her own weapons pouch. Asuma passed the genin and Tazuna to lead the group out of Konoha. "Come on, everyone, let's pick up the pace a little," he said as he lit a cigarette. The same tailwind currently blowing Naruto's Haori around would also carry his cigarette smoke, so he had to lead the group. Naruto grinned with pride when they passed the gates of the village, and nudged Hinata with his elbow. "This is my first time leaving Konoha." "What about you, Hinata?" "It's a first for me too," she answered softly. "Hey," Naruto Kiba stepped up beside his teammate and nudged him. "You know that thing's way too big on you, right?" "Like way too big." "So?" he replied casually, swishing the Haori which reached down to his ankles and almost touched the ground. "It still looks cool, you know?" "Well, yeah," Kiba admitted. "But look. There's a reason shinobi associate long coats with untouchable badasses, okay? Pull a kunai out of your hip pouch." Naruto shrugged and pushed his coat aside, reaching under it to retrieve the kunai. "Okay, you see the problem, right? Long coats make it harder to reach your gear, plus they weigh you down and provide a way for an opponent to grab you. So wearing one doesn't make you a strong ninja. You have to be a strong ninja to get away with wearing one. Alright, I see your point, Naruto groaned loudly. It's just I only found out who my parents were yesterday, you know? Besides, this is our first mission, and it's just a C rank. Let me have my fun just this once. Okay, Kiba answered placatingly, mark my words though. One day it's gonna be either you or that coat that gets shredded in a fight, so don't get too attached to it. They continued to chat for several hours, until that afternoon Naruto spotted something unusual ahead. It's summer, it hasn't rained in weeks, and the ground around us is dry, so what's with those two puddles? He drew a Hiraishin kunai. Hey, Hinata, how are you with kunai these days? Huh? We trained with kunai a week ago. Naruto, what are you thinking? She pulled out the kunai he had given her. I'll show you. What should we aim for? See that thing ahead of us? He pointed, and Hinata's eyes widened. His heart skipped a beat. She sees them. Aim for that. That disguise is a ninjutsu, no doubt about it. Enemy shinobi. She threw her kunai, and Naruto did the same. A kunai stabbed into each of the puddles, getting the attention of Asuma, Kiba and Tazuna. One merely turned red with blood, but the other transformed into a very angry ninja with a kunai in his left shoulder. You bastards! You killed my brother! He lunged forward in a blind rage, armed with a metal-clawed gauntlet on his right arm. Attached to the gauntlet was a chain covered in blades that trailed out uselessly behind him. Naruto shuddered at the feeling of helplessness that was suffocating him. What is this, a genjutsu? No, I can barely breathe. The ninja sprinted toward him furiously, his clawed arm raised for an attack. It's killing intent. I've never felt it before, it can't be simulated in training. He's going to kill me. 8 trigrams? Hinata lunged past Naruto and poked the missing nin in the chest twice, once with each index finger. 2 palms. She poked him in each shoulder. 4 palms. A poke to the forehead, solar plexus, right hip, and left cheek. 8 palms. She leapt away from her stunned opponent, and withdrew an ordinary kunai from the holster on her right thigh, throwing it directly into the missing nin's throat. He was replaced by a mossy log and a puff of smoke. Asuma put out his cigarette and leapt into the trees. He returned after roughly a minute with an unconscious missing nin over his shoulder. Tazuna! The bridge builder jumped at his name being called so sharply. Asuma dropped the beaten shinobi at his feet, and pointed at the surviving demon brother. Explain this. Now, Naruto shivered, his eyes wide and locked on the missing nin's limp form. I couldn't even move. He stepped toward his sensei numbly. Naruto-kun. Hinata laid a hand on his shoulder. Just take a deep breath, relax. He did this, and she smiled. It's all right, Naruto. It's over. I couldn't move, Hinata. I just froze. He looked down at the haori he wore, which he suddenly felt unworthy of. What if this happens to me every time? Killing intent affects everyone differently, Naruto-kun. Remember, we learned that in the academy? Some people freeze the first time, but it almost never stays with the trained shinobi beyond that. Next time, you'll be ready for it. Naruto looked up and smiled shakily. Thanks, Hinata. You were amazing, by the way. The 8 trigrams, it was awesome. She smiled and blushed. Thanks. I've only reached 8 palms, but one day, I'll get to 64. Tazuna spent the next few minutes recounting his story, explaining his quest, Gata's villainy, and A-rank missions being far above what the Land of Waves could afford. I'm not sorry for what I did. An entire country, my home, is relying on me to build my bridge and save them, so damned if I wouldn't do this all over again. Please help me. I can pay you for an A rank once your mission is complete. Wave has vast potential for exporting luxuries, and the international market knows that. When the bridge is built, they'll be lining up to buy our goods. Our economy will explode. I can't just accept a deal like that, Tazuna. I'd need the approval of the Hokage, but I can make you a deal for now. We'll accept C rank pay to take you to the Land of Waves, and send a message to Konoha upon our arrival. Ideally, that means we'll return home and be replaced by a squad of Jounin, or even the ANBU Black Ops. Asuma lit a fresh cigarette. That's the best I can offer you, no matter how much I sympathize with your intentions. Tazuna nodded. It's enough. Building that bridge means more to me than anything, and I don't care who keeps me alive until the job's done. If the Kyuubi no Kitsune offered me the finished bridge in exchange for my soul, I'd make that deal in a heartbeat. Naruto sneezed. That won't be necessary, and Bijou don't buy souls, Asuma replied, and glanced at Naruto. The blonde genin was stooping to pet a pure white rabbit that was remarkably comfortable around people. Everyone, get ready to fight. That rabbit belongs to someone nearby. Shinobi use animals like this as messengers and occasional distractions. Naruto stood and drew a Hiraishin kunai. Kiba pulled Akamaru out of the collar of his hoodie and set him on the ground, and Hinata activated her Byakugan. Naruto brought the kunai to his mouth and declared, Wind release, wind blade. He breathed out chakra in a steady stream of wind, creating a scimitar-like blade of wind chakra around the kunai, and wielded the newly formed sword with both hands. I won't freeze up like that ever again. Never. Whoever's out there, I don't care how much killing intent you hit me with, I won't falter, I won't give up, and I won't freeze like a coward. Believe it! An evil laugh echoed throughout the forest around them. Hidden mist jutsu. The air grew thick with white mist, and Naruto bared his teeth in frustration and suppressed fear. Hinata, he called, can you hear me? I'm right here, she answered, mere feet away. They were completely unable to see each other. Damn it, we can't fight in this. He raised the sword over his head and gathered his chakra, slower than he could with his hands not occupied with his weapon. Wind release, wind scar. He brought the weapon down, but before his sword could touch the ground and release the jutsu, a massive sword intercepted his swing. Naruto found himself staring into the masked face of Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the hidden mist. Thought you'd blow away my mist with the wind release, huh, kid? Not bad, but you're not the first to think of it. Zabuza chuckled darkly. The wind blade and wind scar are nice little jutsu, too. I take it Konoha genin aren't quite as pathetic as I've heard. Shut up! Naruto barked, and pushed Zabuza away, though it took extreme physical effort to budge one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist. Oh, I get it. You lost it in front of the demon brothers, and now your little ego's bruised? Do you even know who I am, kid? I said shut up. Naruto lunged with his sword, but Zabuza knocked the ethereal weapon aside with total ease. The wind blade was dispersed, leaving Naruto with just the kunai inside. Naruto, stand down. Team, protect Tazuna, and I'll deal with this guy. Asuma produced his signature daggers and engaged Zabuza, pushing Naruto aside to do so. This is bad. Zabuza Momochi is easily an S-rank missing nin. I don't stand a chance. In fact, Kakashi Hatake might be the only jounin in Konoha who could take him, but if I distract him, I might be able to buy the team enough time to escape. Wind release, erasing wind. A strong but harmless wind blew out from Asuma in all directions, pushing the mist away a considerable distance. Hinata sighed in relief. Being a Hyuga meant her ability to see an opponent was even more precious. Naruto looked at his teammates over his shoulder, then back to Asuma, who was battling Zabuza with 2 daggers, and losing ground with worrying speed. He can't do this alone. Kiba, use any range jutsu you've got. Hinata, use the water scattershot. Naruto threw his kunai, and Zabuza deflected it, but Naruto started making hand seals while he did. Wind release, air bullet. Naruto cried, and shot a blast of deadly, forceful wind from his outstretched hands. Zabuza disengaged, leaping out of Asuma's melee range to deal with the threat of an A-rank jutsu. He batted the attack aside with his famous sword Kubikiri Bucho, but in the brief moment his vision was obscured by his own sword. Hinata began spitting out small blasts of water the size of phoenix flowers by the dozen. Zabuza scowled as he was forced to dodge and block the pesky little attacks, as he thought of them. Asuma, with renewed courage, dashed toward him with his daggers coated in chakra. Zabuza blocked his attacks, and detected one of the blonde brat's weird kunai flying at him. He leaned back, out of the path of the kunai, and smirked at Asuma, who stumbled forward. Zabuza planted a kick in Asuma's gut, and the Konoha jounin fell. Now! Naruto grinned, and threw a second kunai. Zabuza saw it coming and moved out of its path long before it reached him, but Naruto shouted, Shirokin Shadow Clone Jutsu. Zabuza's eyes narrowed at the unfamiliar name. The jutsu had been created by the 3rd Hokage and was known only in Konoha. Even then, only a few instructional scrolls existed, and the Hyuga clan's copy had mysteriously disappeared about a year ago. No one had noticed. The Hyuga dedicated themselves solely to their legendary taijutsu. The kunai copied itself as it flew, into no less than 300 deadly kunai which all kept the momentum and aim of the original. Zabuza winced, and took cover behind the blade of his massive sword. A few kunai grazed him, but it was of little concern. Not bad, brat. Zabuza laughed, and glanced down at Asuma. Naruto had made sure every kunai passed over his sensei safely. But I'm still standing. I'm still gonna kill you all, he finished in a low and menacing voice. The missing nin raised his sword with both hands, preparing to bring it down on a prone Asuma. As he began his swing, Naruto shouted out the name of another jutsu. Wind release, air bullet. Zabuza swore as his blade descended. I can't dodge mid-swing. He relaxed, however, when he saw that the air bullet's trajectory was off, and that was his mistake. Rather than hitting Zabuza, it struck Kubikiri Bucho, sending it, and its wielder spinning wildly through the air, until they struck a tree with enough force to knock out the infamous missing nin. Zabuza's hands went limp and released his sword. Asuma got to his feet, lunging towards Zabuza as fast as his legs could move, which was quite fast. He raised his right hand, and with it a chakra-wreathed dagger, aiming to stab and finish the unconscious demon of the hidden mist. 2 steel needles, however, reached their target before Asuma was even halfway to Zabuza. The missing nin's eyes flew open, bloodshot and terrified, but the Senbon were already in his neck. Zabuza felt himself die with perfect, nightmarish clarity. A masked Anbu, from Kiri judging by his mask, revealed himself as the attacker by emerging from the trees. I've been tracking this bastard for weeks. Thanks for your help. Asuma simply hunched over and coughed a bit of blood. The pain from Zabuza's kick had finally cut through his adrenaline rush. Damn, at least it wasn't a kick in the balls again. Naruto let his hands fall to his sides, grinning. Thanks for your help, he replied. I mean, we could have finished him, but thanks anyway. I did it. I didn't freeze up at all. He beamed and flipped a thumbs up. We had this guy beat, believe it. And I didn't even use up a quarter of my chakra. At this rate I'll be Hokage in no time. I feel so powerful. Damn right. Kiba added. 3 freaking genin. I don't know who that guy was, but when we get back we'll be legends. But I gotta learn some range jutsu, and fast. Hinata remained silent, but she too was smiling. You know what? The tracker Nin asked. I really believe you. You beat him, and I'll make sure you get sent a part of the bounty. You earned it, kids. The ANBU slung Zabuza's limp body over one shoulder, and retreated over the treetops without saying goodbye. Asuma looked up in shock and alarm. Damn it! He fell to his knees and pounded a fist into the ground. He took the body. So? Naruto asked, clueless. So, he was an imposter. Kiri's ANBU tracker Nin are trained to incinerate the bodies of killed missing Nin, every time, without fail. They only take the heads, and it's considered treason to so much as pick up the body. Asuma punched the earth again. Zabuza, he said slowly, is alive. Zabuza woke, and immediately groaned at the pain of 2 needles still embedded in his neck. He reached up and ripped one out, then the other. Haku, you cold little bastard. You could have at least pulled the needles out. He sat up and looked around, finding himself to be in a shack so ruined, he could see between each individual rotting plank. He had been laid on a table that looked ready to collapse under his weight. Haku, behind you. Zabuza turned, and saw his fellow missing Nin seated in a comfortable chair, the only piece of furniture in the shack that looked serviceable. His fake ANBU mask sat in his lap. How the hell could you let yourself get beaten by one jounin? You're getting soft. It wasn't the jounin. He was no problem, but that blonde kid. What? Haku put on an exaggerated look of surprise. You didn't get beat by a jounin, but 3 genin? Konoha genin, no less? Don't push me, Haku. Zabuza scowled through his mask, and turned away so he could properly slouch forward. He ran his hands through his spiky black hair. That kid, the blonde genin of everyone there, not counting me, he was the closest thing to a real ninja. Cheap shots, double teaming, strategy. He protected his team but didn't let them slow him down, didn't hesitate to shoot when his sensei was right next to me. And aiming for my sword instead of me clever. Zabuza chuckled darkly. Shame I've gotta kill him, and all his friends too. It's a waste really, but better him than us. I don't believe this, Haku teased. You really are going soft. Bullshit. You can call me soft if the kid lives, which he won't. Just because he reminds me of myself doesn't mean I won't eviscerate him. Asuma found Naruto and Hinata sitting on a boulder, taking a break from their training to share a few boxes of the local takeout ramen. Despite the events of the previous few days, they were smiling, as was usual for them in this situation. Asuma was halfway through his latest cigarette, and he decided to bring 2 months' supply of them, just in case this mission lasted far longer than expected. He looked around at the kunai embedded in large trees, the smaller saplings ripped out of the ground with wind and water release, along with logs clearly chopped to bits with the wind blade kunai. Not bad, he observed, and blew out a small cloud of smoke. Hey, Asuma-sensei, Naruto greeted without looking up from his meal. Hey, Naruto. Asuma took a seat on the boulder, with Naruto between him and Hinata. Can you explain something to me? I guess so, Naruto mumbled, only half paying attention. It's illegal for you to know the Shirokin shadow clone jutsu. Naruto choked on his ramen and started coughing. Where'd you learn my father's jutsu? When he was done choking, Naruto steeled himself and looked his sensei in the eye. I'd rather be executed than tell you that, he said, deadly serious. Ah. Thank you for that perfectly clear explanation. Asuma smirked. The only reason for you to hide that secret would be to protect a friend who gave you the jutsu. Hinata started blushing faintly, since she knew where Asuma was going with this. Specifically, a friend in one of the noble clans that were given scrolls of the jutsu. You only have one such friend, and she happens to be from the only clan that would have little interest in that scroll, since they focus on taijutsu. Hinata's blush spread over her cheeks and darkened. Don't worry about it though. Since the Uzumaki clan has an adult member once again, they're to be considered a valid noble clan, albeit one with little influence in Konoha. If there isn't already a copy of the scroll in your clan's library, there will be soon. Asuma smirked at their expressions. I gotta say I'm impressed by the devotion and loyalty you two have for each other. Hinata, you stole top secret documents from your own clan, and I doubt Naruto even asked you to. There's no way for him to have even heard about the jutsu before you brought it to him. And you, Naruto, seemed legitimately ready to die, just to protect that secret for Hinata. He cocked his head slightly to the side. This seems to run a little deeper than 2 genin working as a team. What do you mean? Naruto asked. At the same time Hinata shakily mumbled it was nothing. I was just helping a friend. Oh, come off it. Asuma chuckled. How long have you been dating? 2 years now? Hinata jumped at that. Naruto quickly replied, no way. If I was dating Hinata, I'd be taking her somewhere nicer for lunch. Ichiraka ramen is great, but it's not, you know, it doesn't fit. Naruto looked down thoughtfully. Come to think of it, I'm a rich noble Uzumaki heir now, I could afford to do that. Hey, Hinata? Why yes, and Naruto-kun? I saw this really fancy restaurant a little while ago called Shirokin. You wanna go there for dinner tonight? I mean, Gat is probably the owner, but he cut himself off when he saw Hinata slump forward and fall to the ground, spilling what was left of the ramen she'd been furiously eating. What the? Hinata, are you okay? Asuma shook his head and laughed. Thank me later. I gotta go train Kiba in the fire release. Since when does Kiba have fire release? Since maybe 10 minutes ago, when I gave him a chakra receptive paper. Asuma turned to walk away, calling over his shoulder, oh, and don't worry, Hinata should be fine. She just fainted. Asuma returned to Tazuna's house, and found his remaining student arguing furiously with Tazuna's grandson. That's a coward's way of thinking. You don't give up if you want to be the alpha male. You know what you are? You're a meek little omega wolf, born to be the lowest of the low. You've got no spine, brat. That's not how it works at all. Inari shouted back. People aren't wolves. I know a whole clan of ninjas that would disagree with you. We're just the same as wolves. We hunt and thrive in packs, we have alphas like me and omegas like you, and we spend our whole lives looking for 3 things. Power, a mate, and the next meal. Don't you ever forget that, kid. We're exactly like wolves. Gat is too strong, Inari said in a low voice. He'll kill you all. He's not a wolf, he's a demon. He might be a demon, but I'm a frickin' ninja, kid. I like my chances. Kiba turned to see Asuma approach. Hey, Asuma-sensei. How are Naruto and Hinata doing? Asuma suppressed a chuckle. They're doing pretty good. Inari started crying loudly, and ran away. What got into him? He's a wimp, it's that simple. Kiba glanced over his shoulder in distaste. I think he might grow out of it though. There's hope for him. Poor kid, Asuma observed. Living here, under Gato, it can have been easy, Kiba nodded. We can always learn to rise up though, to be strong. No matter how young we are or where we grow up, we can learn to be strong. I just hope he figures that out one day. Akamaru gave a soft bark of agreement. So, fire release. What's the plan with my training? We'll start with a basic fireball jutsu. It's a simple, effective projectile, meant for damaging or outright killing the enemy, a staple fire release jutsu that even Jounin with fire release will use. It's easy on your chakra and still deadly. It was dusk, the sun having just slipped past the horizon, but the Shirokuden's white, polished walls still gleamed. It was like a temple, or a palace out of legend. Being an expensive and luxurious restaurant, it was near the heart of the tourist district Gato had ordered built and cut off from the rest of Wave. It was a massive source of income for the corrupt businessman, but since Naruto planned to overthrow him by the end of the month, he had no qualms about paying for one little meal here. Hinata stared blankly up at the extravagant, 2-story restaurant. She and Naruto stood side by side. The walls in front of them were concrete and covered completely in white marble, so perfect that Hinata found herself looking for signs of a genjutsu. And Naruto-kun? HM? Naruto looked away from the Kyuden and back to Hinata, who was blushing and poking her index fingers together, for the first time in nearly a year. What's wrong, Hinata? She trailed off and looked down. Is this a date? She winced and blushed even deeper. Never mind. Let's just have a nice night. Naruto nodded. Yeah, it'll be great. They made their way to the entrance, 2 doors of solid white marble, thin so they weren't too heavy, and engraved with the image of a phoenix with wings spread wide. The entire lower floor wasn't a restaurant at all, but a forum of some kind. Naruto whistled as he looked around. The inside wasn't genjutsu white as the outside was. The floor beneath them was hardwood, spotless and polished until it looked like glass. In each corner of the room was a fountain, in the shape of a gilded lion rearing over a pool of glistening blue water. The water trickled out between each lion's bared teeth. In the center of the room was a tightly spiraling staircase to the next floor, with water flowing down around the staircase. An arch was installed over the base of the stairs to deflect the water for people to walk through. As soon as Naruto and Hinata spotted it, however, they saw a waiter dressed in a black linen robe, who was approaching through the arch and didn't look happy. Hey, Naruto called with a grin and a wave, table for 2? How old are you, brat? The waiter glared at him. 10? You need either a reservation or 1.5 million Rai cash to dine here. I'm 12, Naruto replied, and I don't like your tone. He turned to Hinata, and whispered very subtly, go along with this, and winked. He turned back to the waiter with feigned but convincing fury, channeling the insulting words Zabuza had spoken to him mere days ago. Do you even know who we are? Should I care? The waiter replied sarcastically. You're dressed like commoners, am I to assume you're in disguise or something? Why, yes. You are. How else could we stroll through Wave without being swarmed by the masses? He paused to consider an alias, but managed to make it sound dramatic, Ichigo of the Kurosaki clan, and this is my fiancée Rukia of the Kichiki clan. You said 1.5 million Ryu, correct? I suppose I could just hand it over, it's petty cash to me after all, but to be quite blunt, I don't like you. You called me a brat. So, he declared, and paused again. I'll try this again. Table for 2, please, and after our meal, you are to bring Gatu, or whoever it is that runs this establishment, to our table that we might speak to him. He really ought to have a list of noble clan names handed out to you people. The waiter blanched. Kurosaki Kuchiki, the names do sound a bit familiar, some far-off noble clans, maybe? And my apologies, Kurosaki-sama, Kuchiki-heim, but the Shirokin is black tie only. I have to ask you to leave and return in formal wear. Leave? I think not. It's getting late, and speaking for myself, I'm quite hungry. Don't you agree, Rukia? Rukia nodded. Yes, it's best you simply escort us to our meal, she said with as much steel in her voice as she could. Naruto clasped his hands together, and Hinata followed suit, getting the idea. Transformation jutsu. They called in stereo, and the waiter blinked in surprise. Ninjutsu? Are they shinobi nobles, or did their parents buy them ninja tutors or something? Naruto had transformed into a version of himself wearing a deep orange, unadorned robe, with a white belt tied in a bow at his waist and white trim at his collar, wrists and ankles. Hinata's clothes were replaced by a pristine white kimono with subtle lavender swirling designs. Is this acceptable? Ichigo asked. It's fine, the waiter replied after hesitating. Table for 2, right this way. He led them up the spiral staircase, and sat them at a table comfortably secluded in the corner, with a view out the window to the ocean surrounding the land of waves. Kurosaki? Hinata finally asked when they were alone. It's a reference to a manga I read once. Naruto looked down at the table and smiled thoughtfully. You know, my parents decided I wasn't supposed to get access to the Uzumaki clan funds until I was a legal adult. I think I know why now. He nodded to the waiter in the distance. If I could have talked to people like that from birth, with no parents to keep me in line, imagine the kind of brat I'd be today, assuming I hadn't bankrupted the clan by this point. He looked around at the upper floor of Shirokin, which had a distinctly Western theme to it. The place was lit with chandeliers and softly scented candles, and the tables and chairs had legs carved in elaborate swirls. Each table was stained dark, varnished, and polished, to be beautiful and easy to wipe clean. The table faintly showed the rings of the tree it had been made from, fitting since it was circular. What's this? He reached out and plucked a white ceramic bottle from the dead center of the table. It's sake, Hinata explained. Expensive restaurants sometimes provide free alcohol, so their rich customers are less conscious of how much expensive food they're buying. It's a low tactic, but effective. I don't get it. How does that work, Naruto? Don't you know what alcohol is? She took the bottle gently, and set it down where it had been. It's a drink intended for adult consumption, that dulls your mind slightly, and gradually takes away your inhibitions. Huh. He picked up one of the ivory saucers next to the bottle, filled it with sake, and fired back his first drink ever. Oh dear Kami, that's disgusting, he choked. You're not supposed to drink it that fast, Hinata said, shocked. Watch. She poured a saucer of the alcohol, and a single sniff told her it was sake of the same quality Hyuga nobles would buy. She brought it to her lips and sipped it delicately. A rosy blush spread over her cheeks in a matter of seconds, and she giggled. I can only handle one saucer of this stuff before bad things start happening, she said in an eerily cheerful voice. Naruto put his empty saucer over the bottle as a lid. Bad things? Hinata mumbled something very quietly. Naruto only caught the phrases drunken fist, dad's birthday, and ruined the whole party. He decided not to press the issue. From the look in Hinata's eyes he could see it wasn't a happy memory. The same waiter from before brought them 2 scrolls. His demeanor markedly changed. He actually smiled when he noticed the alcohol-induced blush on their cheeks. Kurosaki-sama, Kuchiki-heim, here are your menus. I'm sure you'll be happy to hear that Gata-sama has accepted your invitation, and will meet you after your meal. He's a polite man and will not intrude on your romantic evening, which I personally hope you enjoy. Your cooperation is appreciated, Naruto replied stiffly. I would also, the waiter continued, like to apologize for my behavior earlier tonight. It was an error I will take great care not to repeat. Good. Naruto unfurled the scroll and read through the menu, and the waiter bowed. I will return in a few minutes. When you have made your decision, he said, and retreated hastily. I kind of feel bad about doing this to him, Naruto admitted. I feel evil, you know? Maybe I should apologize when we leave. Sorry, Naruto-kun, but I really think that's a bad idea. It could blow our cover completely. He nodded solemnly. Good point. But why did you do it? If he'd seen through your act, we might have had to fight, and that would risk the mission. I mean, it was convincing, but why put that much on the line? Naruto looked down sheepishly. Sorry, Hinata. I hadn't thought of it, I just wanted to give you a good time. Her eyes widened, and she blushed. You did that, risked our lives to take me to dinner? Ah, man, he mumbled, even more apologetic. Now I feel really bad. I could have gotten us both killed. No, Hinata replied firmly. Don't think like that. It was reckless, maybe, but it worked. And it was really sweet of you. The blush from the alcohol darkened sharply, and she murmured something incoherent, before opening her menu and finding something that looked suitably delicious. Naruto stared down at his own scroll, squinting in his confusion. Nothing here is anything like ramen, I have no idea what to pick. Just skip straight to dessert, Hinata advised. I know plenty of Hyuga nobles who do that all the time. In fact, I think I'll try it myself. As if on cue, the waiter returned, smiling amicably. Have you made your decision, Kichikiheim, Kurosaki-sama? Yes, Hinata returned the smile. I'll have this foreign confection. She pointed to the image on the scroll. Cheesecake, I'm not at all familiar with the name. An excellent choice, he said with a nod, and scribbled it down. And you, Kurosaki-sama? Naruto nodded thoughtfully. I think I'll try it as well. Bring 2 of them. The waiter bowed and left the 2 to their own devices. Naruto asked, once they were alone, any idea what we just ordered? I never looked at what it was. It's how should I put this? She stared at where her scroll menu had been. From what I read, it's a brick of heavy, sweet soft candy, made with a lot of milk and sugar. It's really rich, a small one should be enough for the whole meal. She paused, then added, it's impossible to eat with chopsticks, you need a foreign utensil called a fork. I've seen those before, they're not hard to use, but it's a strange concept. Almost 20 minutes later, the waiter laid their meal before them, and Naruto grinned down at the cheesecake. It smells delicious. The waiter inclined his head with a soft smile. As he turned away, Naruto caught a glimpse of the smile turning into a sneer. Rukia, hold on a moment, Ichigo said, with a subtle hint of urgency. As the waiter left, Naruto reverted to his true character. Let me check for poison. I don't trust this. Hinata's eyes widened, and she set down the fork that was almost to her mouth. Pea poison? I think that guy got the Bleach reference. I don't understand. Our names. They're a reference to a manga, and I guess that waiter made the connection after he let us in. Naruto made a hand seal, and held one hand over each cheesecake. Yeah. There it is, a slow-acting poison coupled with a truth serum. Truth serum? Hinata blinked. Of course. Gat is going to come out here and talk to us, expecting us to confess we're shinobi, and tell him if we have allies here, or a mission to kill him. Typical manga villains move, too, Naruto added. Rather than send a proxy or even a convincing body double, he'll come right out here and meet the 2 people he knows are the ninja heroes. Well, actually we can only get that far if he knows we've eaten the food. And we will. I'm medical ninjutsu. I never was much good with it, Naruto admitted, but I can eliminate a poison when it's concentrated to one place like in food. With a person it's different, flowing all around in the blood so much harder. He held his hands out over the food again, and sent a soft green light out from his palms. There. To be safe, he added, dodge that spot there. He pointed to the center of the cake. That's where the poison was injected. That's impressive, Naruto-kun. Not really. Anyone with the slightest training in medical ninjutsu could manage it, even if they sucked as bad as I did. Thanks though. He took a bite of his cake. Get past the poison, and this stuff is pretty good. Hinata sighed as she took a bite as well. Not bad at all. When they were half finished their meal, a short, balding man in a Western business suit approached them, snatching a chair from a nearby, unoccupied table and placing it between Naruto and Hinata. He sat, smirking with satisfaction. I see you've enjoyed your meal, he sneered. Gatu, I presume? Naruto replied coldly, then took another bite of his cake. Yes, the meal is quite nice, Gatu chuckled. So, Ichigo Kurosaki, what brings you to the land of waves? Oh, we've mostly been sightseeing. Naruto looked him in the eye with a false smile and waved his hand. I couldn't help but notice the impoverished and oppressed people that surround this little tourist attraction. Who are you two, really? I know you're not who you say you are. Naruto glanced at Hinata, who nodded subtly. My name, and this is the truth, is Naruto Uzumaki. I'm a genin of Konoha, and sole heir to the Uzumaki clan, former main clan of the ninja village of Uzushio, in the land of whirling tides. I suppose you could say we were royalty there. And your little girlfriend? Gatu sneered, liking where this was going. I can speak for myself, Hinata said with a piercing glare. I'm Hinata Hyuga, also a genin of Konoha. I'm a princess of the Hyuga clan, wielder of the Byakugan Dijutsu, and I can kill you by poking you in any one of the 361 chakra points on your body, which I can see quite clearly. Naruto, oblivious though he was, clearly noticed her not objecting to the term girlfriend. Gatu nodded at her introduction, eyebrows raised over his black sunglasses. And why are you really here? Why? Hinata echoed. To enjoy this delicious cheesecake, of course. She held up a forkful of the confection, and popped it in her mouth. So you're not here to kill me? Gatu asked. Straight to the point then, HM? Hinata replied. Naruto saw the opportunity, and seized it. No, we're not here to kill you. That said, I wouldn't mind ending you at all. You're a blatantly rude little man, since you sent your waiter to tell us you'd meet us after our date, then interrupted us without warning. Date? Hinata turned to look at Naruto, her heart pounding immediately. Did he just say date? Satisfied, Gatu withdrew a small bottle from the inside pocket of his suit. I can't have guests dying in my restaurant. This is the antidote for the poison that was in your meal. He stood. Naruto called, wait. Gatu froze mid-step. Consider the fact you're alive payment enough for this meal, particularly since you poisoned it. Gatu turned, fury written on his face, but he forced himself back into a cool, smug demeanor. Fine. Get out of here, he spat. Naruto stood, and Hinata followed suit. He took her hand, drawing a quiet gasp from her, and the two walked side by side toward the staircase. Naruto made certain to knock his shoulder against Gatu's. The short man was no taller than the 12-year-old genin, so the hit connected and knocked him aside. He growled, but held his peace. Little ninja brat. I hope you choke on that antidote. As soon as they were outside, the transformation jutsu dispelled, and their clothes returned to normal. Naruto looked up at the clear night sky, and the moon shining in it. You know, that was pretty exciting. Maybe we should do it again sometime, MF. Hinata considered pulling back, breaking off the kiss a moment after it began, but she was frozen in place. She couldn't move forward or back, she simply stood where she was and thought, what have I done? I kissed him. I'm kissing Naruto-kun. I shouldn't, it was too early. I never even told him. She shut her eyes tighter, flinching from the thought. Her heart was in her throat, no longer with excitement, but with unbridled terror. I never told him, but he said girlfriend date. The fear receded for a moment, then came flooding back through her thoughts. I rushed it, and I just ruined everything. After this, he won't even be able to look at me. She opened her eyes wide, finally realizing that he was kissing her back. Now that she was looking, she saw that he was just as bright red as she was, and shaking slightly just like her. He's scared too. He's like me, he doesn't know what to do here. She sighed softly, closing her eyes once more. And one of us has to figure that out. We can't just stand here forever. But now that her fear was gone, now that Naruto was kissing her back and everything felt happy again, she mused, I guess I wouldn't mind. She pulled away slowly, hesitantly, looking down and blushing a brighter red than she had ever before. Now that she'd moved back and his eyes were open, he could see her again, and he never looked at her like this before. That was the best night of my life, she breathed, hating her stutter more than ever before. She consoled herself at least with the knowledge that Naruto was used to it by now. He could follow her trembling voice without much effort. Still, it was just one more reason to blush after all the others thus far. Naruto scratched the back of his head nervously. And mine too, he admitted after a long pause. So any ideas for where we could go next time? Naruto and Hinata lay stretched out in a bed of grass, deep in the forest of the land of waves. Their forehead protectors rested over their eyes to blot out the bright noon sunlight. Their heads and shoulders touched gently, and they smiled up at the sky serenely. This, Naruto decided, was the happiest he'd ever been. It had been only 2 weeks since their date at the Shirokin, but Hinata had already begun to come further out of her shell than ever before. Whenever they trained, she'd removed her hoodie. The t-shirt beneath that bore the Hyuga emblem was the only thing without short sleeves he'd ever seen her in. At first, she'd been blushing as though she had just stripped to her underwear, but gradually, she'd gotten used to it. The light breeze brushing her bare arms had become something enjoyable. An hour ago, they'd been developing and practicing a new supplementary ninjutsu, but there were no signs of damage to the ground or the trees. And yet, when it was complete, it would be a fearsome weapon. The sound of crunching dead leaves was audible with their ears so close to the ground. Both of them realized someone was coming, and the sound didn't fit Kiba or Asuma. Both would either have heavier footfalls, or none at all if they were being stealthy. This was a child their age, small and light on his or her feet. Hinata whispered Byakugan. She saw a slim, pale girl with long black hair enter her field of vision with a wicker basket. A closer inspection revealed a knife in the basket, suitable for cutting the stems of herbs but also with a potential for killing. The girl was giving Naruto and Hinata a look of confusion as she approached. The girl stopped at the feet of the two shinobi. Excuse me, but what are you two doing out here? Naruto sat up, catching his forehead protector as it fell from his eyes. Hinata did the same, but deactivated her Byakugan first. Just relaxing, Naruto replied. But why here? Hinata blinked. That voice, I know it from somewhere. We were training before this. We're shinobi, Naruto said proudly, not recognizing the missing nin without a mask. We could have hurt somebody if we did it near civilians. Shinobi, the girl echoed softly. But you're so young, no older than me. We're trained from childhood, Hinata answered, because we learn best at a young age. Imagine when you learn to speak. It was easy because you were born into it. Where have I heard this voice before? My name is Haku, the girl introduced herself. I'm Hinata. This is Naruto, she replied courteously. So, what brings you out here, Haku? The girl paused. I have devoted my life to help one who is precious to me. He is very sick, and I'm here to find the herbs to cure him. Naruto nodded and stood. Someone precious to her, I can respect that. We'll help. What herbs are you looking for? Haku took a small, worn book out of the basket and flipped it open to a marked page. This is the most important one, she showed him the page. Hinata stood and looked at it as well. But that shinobi use it on poisoned wounds as a substitute for medical ninjutsu. It counteracts paralyzing and weakening toxins, not lethal ones, and not illness. Are you sure that's not the wrong herb? Hinata asked delicately. What exactly is this man suffering from? Listen closely. Listen to her voice. He came home one day with a bloody scratch on his neck. This time, Hinata got it. It's you! she shouted, and stepped back to initiate a gentle fist stance. Zabuza's partner. Naruto's eyes widened, and he started making hand seals immediately. Hinata's right, it's her. Wind release, wind scar, ice release, frost shield. The missing nin stopped Naruto's jutsu effortlessly, raising a sheet of ice like glass from the earth. The small blades of wind scattered harmlessly against the shield, which then crumbled. Please understand, I don't want to kill anyone. Even though Zabuza-sama is far more precious to me, no life is worthless. Naruto's and Hinata's eyes widened. That power, it's so much like our snow release. Is it a Kekkai Genkai? Heads up, punk! Everyone looked up to a tree branch high above, where Kiba and Akamaru were perched. Fire release, Phoenix Flower Jutsu. He ignited his breath with chakra and blew forth 100 small fireballs at Haku. The missing nin deflected and dodged all of them with her frost shield and her speed. Great Fireball Jutsu. He launched a larger fireball that briefly consumed his opponent in an explosion. Kiba flung himself off the branch, using the transformation jutsu as he did to turn into a small rock and land with a thump on the ground. Haku emerged from the fireball as it died down, still unharmed. Please stop this. I didn't come to fight, I just want the herbs. Naruto and Hinata briefly faltered at the desperation in Haku's tone, but steeled themselves when the missing nin reached into her basket and pulled out a pouch, filled not with herbs but with senbon. She charged toward the Konoha shinobi, flinging handfuls of needles. Wind release, erasing wind. A blast of wind from Naruto scattered the senbon needles harmlessly. Kiba's transformation ceased, and he threw himself at Haku, spinning wildly. Passing Fong! He roared as he struck, sending Haku flying. Haku rolled to her feet, with a shield of ice levitating in front of her chest. Kiba threw a kunai at her, which likewise struck the shield harmlessly. He formed a hand seal sequence none of the other three ninja had seen before, and brought his index and middle fingers to his lips. Fire release, ash pile burning. He blew out a steady stream of ash and gunpowder, from which Haku was forced to retreat. Kiba clicked his teeth together, and the cloud of ash ignited into a fireball that momentarily blinded her. When Haku's vision cleared, 3 Kibas were sprinting toward her on all fours. The first punched her, but the fist passed straight through her, revealing itself to be a clone jutsu. Wind release, air bullet. Haku turned to deal with the extremely deadly ninjutsu, allowing what she thought was another clone to strike her. Kiba sent her sprawling to the ground, and both of them fell past the air bullet. Kiba pulled back his fist to punch her again, but Haku shoved a fistful of senbon into his gut, and he howled in pain. He rolled off of her and tried to pull the cluster of needles from his flesh, while Haku stood to confront the other 2 genin. The remaining clone punched her in the face, drawing blood from her lip. I'm not prepared to deal with this, Haku contemplated quietly. These herbs don't matter that much. I can resupply some other time, she thought, and called substitution. The remaining clone transformed into a white puppy that spun through the air, peeing on her as it did. Jutsu? He reappeared at the edge of the forest, in place of a log that had sat against an old, dying tree. Was that urine? He asked himself incredulously. Meanwhile, Kiba was sitting up, having pulled the senbon out of his belly. Hinata set to work on healing the cluster of tiny wounds, which were together enough to be a danger to the Inuzuka genin. That was amazing, Kiba-kun. She beamed. To have come so far with the fire release after mere weeks of training. Yeah, it was pretty cool, huh? Kiba smirked, then winced at the pain in his abdomen. That last jutsu, the ash pile burning, it's strong, but it takes a lot out of me. Asuma-sensei said he made it up himself. He groaned, and Akamaru came to his side, whining in concern. Not bad for 2 weeks though, huh? I got that guy pretty good. Guy? Naruto and Hinata questioned in sync. The ice dude. Haku? Naruto shuddered. And I was thinking to myself, she was almost as pretty as Hinata. Yeah. He looked like a girl, I know, but nothing can fool an Inuzuka's nose. Guys and girls smell completely different. Kiba winced again at the pain, but then it receded. Okay, you're good to go, Hinata declared with a smile. You're lucky those were senbon and not a kunai. I wouldn't have been able to repair that kind of wound. Thanks, Hinata-chan. Kiba stood, and picked up Akamaru, placing the white Niken puppy inside his hoodie. Akamaru barked happily. I came out here to see how your training was coming along, but then I felt that 3rd chakra signature, and showed up to save us, which was awesome, Naruto finished and grinned. We could have handled him, he paused. But thanks anyway. It was really cool, believe it, Kiba nodded. So, did you guys pick up any new jutsu since we came here? Well, we came up with a few variations of existing jutsu, Hinata admitted. Naruto, should we show him one? Naruto drew a flying thunder god kunai, poked the air in front of himself, then dropped it. Hinata blinked once, then deciphered the hidden message and nodded. She drew her own kunai and threw it at a tree. She used a substitution on her own kunai mid-flight, and maintained its momentum, punching the air between herself and the tree to show the offensive potential of the jutsu. Naruto then drew a second kunai, poked toward himself, and let it drop, hitting the first with a clinking sound. Hinata nodded again, and he threw a kunai at a tree to her side, but she used a substitution to switch places with it. The kunai slammed into the tree while she reappeared past it. Kiba whistled. Not bad, he observed. You actually took the time to weaponize the substitution jutsu. It takes the enhanced vision of a Byakugan to do it consistently, but yes, Hinata admitted. I can use it to close in on an opponent and use my gentle fist, or seemingly pass through enemy weaponry unharmed. Ice release, sealing ice dome. Everyone's eyes widened, and each of them tried to react, but it was too late. A sheet of ice grew up out of the ground, surrounding them from all directions and completing a dome around them in a matter of seconds. Haku's voice echoed inside the dome. I'm sorry, but Zabuza-sama must complete his mission unhindered by you. This dome will maintain itself until the air inside is depleted of oxygen past survivable levels. You will not die, but Tazuna will, and your sensei will likely join him. Please forgive me, Team Naruto growled. You think this thing can hold us? If you break free, I will be forced to kill you. Think about that for a moment, no one wants that. Haku fell silent, and Naruto concluded that the missing Nin had left. Wind scar. Naruto roared, and slapped his hands down on the ground. Blades of wind lashed out at the section of the dome in front of him, but they only chipped the surface. Damn it, Naruto-kun, wait! Hinata cried, as he was about to form an air bullet. This dome is made of ice, maybe Kiba can melt it with the fire release. I can try. Hold on. That's it! Naruto cried triumphantly. Kiba, you can use a fire jutsu to use up the air in here, while we hide in a water encampment from Hinata. The dome is set to come down once there's not enough oxygen to breathe, Kiba nodded. I know a jutsu that'll work. Hinata, get ready, but Hinata paused. What if it's set to a specific time, not to measure the oxygen level in here? We'd kill ourselves. Maybe Naruto looked down at his hands, and made a few seals. Wind release, erasing wind. A blast of fresh air swept past her from Naruto, and she noticed that it didn't have a scent at all, unlike the air already in the dome which smelled of grass and ice. We can create our own fresh air inside the water encampment, and the dome shouldn't be able to detect it. Alright, let's do it, Kiba replied. Asuma-sensei and Tazuna-san are counting on us to save their lives. We can't waste time like this. They can't handle Zabuza and that ice guy without us. He made a short sequence of hand seals. Fire release, grand fireball jutsu. He breathed out a plume of shimmering fire, which struck the wall of the dome and smoldered there. Naruto fanned the flames by shouting, wind release, air bullet. That's enough, Hinata called. We can't risk burning ourselves to death in here. Water release, water encampment jutsu. A small, thin dome of water sprang up around her feet, growing to consume her, Naruto, and Kiba with Akamaru. It didn't need to be thick to hold in the air, which made it easier for her. The second Hokage had been able to create a full water wall without an existing source of water, but she wasn't the Hokage. She was a genin, and to conserve her chakra she made use of the water in the ground. The flames spread over the grass, and smoke began to fill the dome. Hinata kept her hands clasped together in a seal to maintain the smaller dome of water around the genin. The ice dome remained unharmed, despite the chakra-fueled flames growing to fill it with smoke and heat. Wind release, erasing wind. The gust of wind was indeed fresh, breathable air, but it tore through Hinata's wall of water. She whimpered with pain and exertion, trying to reform the bubble of water, but it wasn't meant for this purpose, and it collapsed. The three genin took in a breath of smoke, and fell. Kiba Naruto wheezed, kill the flames. The Inuzuka did this with a simple wave of his hand, but the smoke and depleted air remained. Smoke rises, he coughed. Heads to the he coughed again. Dirt. Naruto and Hinata dove to the ground shortly after he did. Akamaru leapt out of his hoodie so his partner could lay down without crushing him. Wind release, erasing wind. The three of them savored the fresh air, clearing their lungs of as much smoke as possible. That sucked, Kiba observed, panting. Akamaru whined, apparently agreeing. We can still do this. Hinata stood and added, Byakugan. At once, her pale Dojutsu eyes scanned the entirety of the dome, searching for a weak point in the structure. Her first guess had already been proven right. The dome was laced with Haku's chakra. Now, look for the point where there's the least chakra in the structure there. She memorized the spot, turned to face it, and turned off her Byakugan to conserve chakra. Hinata, what did you see? Naruto noticed her rapidly making hand seals with no sign of slowing down, and he began to recognize the pattern. His eyes widened as he realized what her new plan was. Naruto, Kiba, Akamaru, hold your breath, she ordered, and clasped her hands together in the final bird hand seal. Water release, water dragon bullet jutsu. Hinata opened her mouth, and out of it exploded a torrent of water that took the form of an angry-looking dragon. She'd only used this jutsu once before, and the chakra drain had left her unconscious for nearly an hour. That had, however, been a year ago, and she prayed that she was strong enough, even as she felt her chakra levels plummet. She watched the dragon ram face first into the weak spot on the dome, which she assumed had been the farthest point from Haku when he cast it. Water began to fill the dome, as the dragon was destroyed by each impact it delivered. It roared and reformed from the water each time, while Hinata continued to expel more from her mouth. She was faltering. Sweat dripped down her face along with the splashes of water, and she was getting lightheaded. Finally, she stopped generating water and gasped in a deep breath. Pink and purple stars obscured her vision, and she distantly felt herself fall forward with a splash into 2 feet of water. Hinata! It took her a moment to recognize the voice as Naruto's, despite how loud he was screaming. That voice, coupled with the basic reaction to drowning, forced her to flail into a sitting position and cough up the water she had swallowed. She looked at where her dragon bullet had struck, and smiled. It was cracked badly. I can finish this, she stood, but the weight of her soaked clothes forced her down again. Naruto locked eyes with her, and nodded to answer the question she hadn't asked. He turned to face the crack in the ice, forming hand seals. Wind release, drilling air bullet. He punched forward, sending a blast of faintly white glowing wind forward, and it spiraled as it flew. His favorite attack, created by Shikaku the one-tailed raccoon according to legend, slammed into the weakened section of the dome, finishing what Hinata had started and opening a hole in the dome big enough for the 3 genin. Naruto didn't hesitate. He made his way as quickly as possible to Hinata, shortly followed by Kiba. Together, 2 genin carried the third between them, and exited the dome along with the water of Hinata's finished attack. And I thought I was so awesome cause I learned the Grand Fireball, Kiba said with disbelief. That's gotta be the strongest jutsu I've ever seen. Way to go, Hinata. The last time she used it, Naruto spoke with concern, might have killed her. Hinata promptly passed out in their arms. She's strong, and so am I, but there are some jutsu a 12-year-old genin just can't handle. This kind of chakra exhaustion, he shook his head. She'll be out of it for a while. Naruto and Kiba set her down on the wet grass. What do we do now? Kiba asked. Do we go on without her? Stay here until she recovers? I don't know. Naruto ran a hand through his spiky hair, worried and frustrated. Or I do know, but I don't want to do it. She picked her up again, bridal style, and set her gently in a sitting position at the base of a tree. Hinata-chan, he took off his father's haori, and draped it around her to keep her warm, then turned to Kiba. Let's go. Kiba nodded, and they took to the treetops in pursuit of Haku. Naruto had already drawn one of his father's kunai, and was now holding it between his bared teeth as he sprinted through the treetops on all fours. Hinata woke, shivering under Naruto's haori. She gasped as she realized where she was, and remembered what had happened. I tried to either break the dome or fill it with water. She grasped the haori tightly. I have enough chakra, she thought aloud, stuttering and shivering. T2F fight again. She stood, and winced at the cold as the haori fell. She picked it up and put it on over her drenched hoodie. Byakugan. She scanned the area for signs of Naruto's chakra, then started using the telescopic range of the Hyuga's Dijitsu to search Tazuna's house. It was empty, but there were no signs of a battle and no blood. She guided her vision along the road leading from Tazuna's house to the bridge, and saw Tsunami and Inari with 2 of Gato's thugs knocked unconscious at their feet. She moved her vision to the bridge, and found Naruto, Asuma, and Kiba up against Zabuza and the masked shinobi she now knew to be Haku. She deactivated her Byakugan and headed to their rescue. More than once, she stumbled on a tree limb, still weak from using all her chakra for a water dragon bullet, but pressed on. I won't let this be, Naruto-kun. I won't let you fight this battle alone, not so long as I can stand. She broke through to the edge of the forest, not breaking stride at all. She leapt to the nearest road, and kept running. She blew past the startled Inari and Tsunami, pouring chakra into her legs for maximum speed. So that's the power of a ninja, Inari breathed. And we have 4 of them on our side. We can't lose now, Mom, not even against Gato. He flashed a toothy grin. I'm gonna go, and get the villagers to help them. Just wait, Kiba-sensei, I'll be an alpha wolf after all. Hinata panted as she approached the bridge, and when it came into the sight of her deactivated Byakugan, she gasped. Asuma was unconscious in a pool of blood, Kiba was fighting Zabuza alone, and Naruto was trapped in a dome of floating ice plates. Every inch of his body had been peppered with saban needles. Naruto-kun! She screamed, and he turned to face her, eyes wide. She dashed closer to Haku's ice release, and when she was within a relatively close range, she cried, Substitution Jutsu. Naruto appeared 20 feet outside the dome, and she took his place in the middle of Haku's ultimate jutsu. Hinata, the masked missing nin, greeted softly from within all 21 ice mirrors. Naruto told me you were incapacitated. I can still fight, she replied angrily. Byakugan, I'm sorry to hear that, Hinata. Does that mean you will force me to kill you? Haku threw a senbon at her right hip, but she saw it coming with her Byakugan and dodged. I will tell you what I told Naruto. Remain still, and allow Zabuza-sama to kill Tazuna. Do this, and I will not kill you. Did he accept that deal? No, then I won't. Haku sighed, and removed his mask. She could see that the missing nin had tears in his eyes. All these years of serving Zabuza-sama, and I have not yet taken a life. Please don't make me do this. He closed his eyes for a brief moment, and shook his head. This is the last thing I'd want to. Hinata saw her chance, and seized it. Water release, water boo. Haku's eyes snapped open, wide with fury, and she felt herself getting stabbed in 21 different places, 1 for each mirror Haku. They were too fast, my Byakugan can't even see them. Hinata! Naruto roared, and his desperation renewed his strength. He sprinted through a gap between two mirrors, and dove to her side as she crumpled to her hands and knees. Haku threw one more saban, aimed at Naruto's heart. Time seemed to slow down for Hinata. Unlike before, she could clearly see this needle, and she managed to move fast enough to intercept it, even though she had been on her knees. She coughed as it struck her in the center of her chest. For a brief moment, she could hear nothing. No one spoke, no one even breathed, and oddly, she couldn't hear the heartbeat that had been pounding in her ears beforehand. Then she sighed and fell. Naruto screamed. His eyes suddenly felt like they were on fire, and a voice, unlike any he'd ever heard before, thundered in his mind. What would you do to save her? To erase this moment as though it had never happened to her? An aura of horrifying, visible red chakra consumed him, and the whisker marks on his cheeks thickened. He closed his eyes, still screaming in the real world, but inside, a numbing, frightening calm had washed over him. The answer was obvious. Anything. I'd fight, kill, and die. I'd do anything for her. Then you are worthy. Save her. The red chakra vanished, and Naruto opened his eyes. The mirrors, and their projections of Haku, seemed to move away from him in fear. When he looked down at Hinata, saw the chakra reserves in her body badly depleted, and what little remained was fading from the world completely. He pulled the fatal saban out of her heart, then looked up at Haku with his Rinnegan. I'm sorry, Haku began. Naruto dropped the saban and held out his hand, wet with Hinata's blood and his own. Deva Path, Shinra Tensei. The mirror shattered, and its pieces were blown backward by an invisible force that clearly wasn't wind release. The real Haku jumped free of another mirror, and retreated away from Naruto, who didn't follow. Instead, he knelt next to Hinata, and formed a sequence of hand seals, none of which Haku had ever seen before. He laid a hand on her belly, and whispered words Haku was too far away to hear. Outer path, Rinne Tensei. At the same time, a spike of Naruto's hair at the edge of his forehead turned white. Hinata gasped. Haku's eyes widened. That's completely impossible. My saban pierced her heart, she died. Naruto nodded to himself in satisfaction and stood, watching the other 21 needles being forced out of Hinata's healing wounds. She breathed heavily, her lavender eyes wide with disbelief and staring up at the sky through Haku's ice mirrors. And Naruto-kun? She gasped. Hinata! Naruto fell to his knees at her side. Are you all right? He called desperately. She gasped again as he came into the line of sight of her deactivated Byakugan eyes. Why your eyes? They hurt, Naruto admitted. What's wrong with them? Am I injured? Our Rinnegan, she breathed. His eyes, solid purple with a pattern of black, concentric circles, widened. Shinra Tensei, Rinne Tensei, I don't know where those names came from, but were they really a Kekei Genkai? How did I get? Haku saw his chance, and he created a new mirror, leaping into it and guiding it into place where the destroyed one had been. He's powerful, but I must not let it stop me. Zabuza-sama is counting on me. Ice release, hailstone. The 21 mirrors of ice grew together, into a solid ice dome like the one they had been trapped in before. A giant projection of Haku spoke. This time, I must kill you. I'm sorry, but there's no way for you and Zabuza-sama to both live. The walls began to thicken, growing inward toward Naruto and Hinata. The latter tried to sit up, but she was completely drained of chakra, so much so that she couldn't move. Naruto-kun, I'll stop him. He smiled down at her, and even with the shock of seeing those otherworldly eyes set in Naruto's face, she smiled weakly back. He clasped his hands together, and breathed in deeply. This jutsu will drain all that remains of your chakra, said the strange voice from before. You are not the sage of six paths. Such an exertion, coupled with that of your previous jutsu, may well kill you, but Hinata won't die, even if I do. If I had to pick one of us to die, I'd pick me. Shinra Tensei! Naruto roared, and shoved both of his hands forward. The ice dome completely shattered on one side, sending the missing nin inside it flying along with chunks of ice 3 feet thick. Naruto collapsed next to Hinata, and his head landed in her lap. Naruto-kun, Kiba, meanwhile, was fighting Zabuza, which wasn't going well. He tried all of his Inuzuka clan jutsu, and his fire release was near useless against Zabuza, who specialized in water release. He'd managed to watch out of the corner of his eye the battle between Naruto and Hinata and Haku. He'd come within an inch of death, both when Hinata died and when Naruto resurrected her. Now, though, all 4 of his allies including Akamaru in his hoodie were incapacitated, and Zabuza turned his back to face Naruto and Hinata. Hey! He shouted in a panic. Don't turn your back on your opponent. Shut up, kid. Your prey, nothing more, and I'll be back to finish you. Kiba had an idea. An idea horrifyingly similar to what Naruto might have come up with in this situation. I can't believe I'm really gonna do this. Transformation jutsu. Zabuza turned back to face him, amused. A transformation? This should be fun. When the smoke of the jutsu cleared, there was no immediate sign of Kiba, until Zabuza heard the voice of a beautiful woman purr into his ear. Come on, Zabuza-sama, let's have a little more fun before you go. HM? Zabuza laughed. This is just pathetic. You're really scraping the bottom of the barrel, aren't you, punk? The missing nin aimed his sword at the red markings on the woman's cheeks that marked her as an Inuzuka, and he bared his teeth under his mask as the hit connected and passed right through. A kunai stabbed into his right hip, and he turned to face Kiba with his eyes wide. A simple, genin-level clone jutsu, coupled with me transforming into a rock. Not bad, huh, you devious little brat? Shut up and die, Kiba growled, so I can go save my friends. Zabuza backhanded him, sending him flying. The kunai twisted in his flesh as Kiba let it go, and Zabuza gritted his teeth in agony. This is a flesh wound, kid. It won't even slow me down. Damn it, Kiba snarled, and reached for another kunai. If I can just buy Naruto sometime. Zabuza turned, and lowered his sword. Kiba followed his line of sight, and his eyes widened. At Wave's end of the unfinished bridge stood Gatu, along with maybe 100 mercenaries armed to the teeth. I expected these 4 to wear you down, Zabuza, Gatu began with a smirk, but this is pathetic. Look at you, the high and mighty demon of the hidden mist, so weak by now that we ordinary folk here, he gestured to the mercenaries, can just walk up to you and put you down. He snapped his fingers, and the mercenaries stepped forward, grinning. Kid, what did you say your name was? Kiba Inuzuka. Right, Kiba, go grab your teammates and scram. I'll deal with these idiots, and we don't have a reason to fight anymore. Then, shouldn't I help you? No. Leave it to me, it should be fun. He hefted Kubikiri Bucho. You'd only be in my way. Kiba nodded, and turned away as he saw Zabuza begin to sprint toward the mercenaries, laughing maniacally. Kiba stepped into the half-dome of cracked white ice, and nudged Naruto, then Hinata. Guys, get up. We gotta get out of here. Kiba-kun, I can't get up. I can't move at all, Hinata whispered weakly. And Naruto-kun as she looked down to his head in her lap. He hasn't moved since he fell. All right, we can handle this. Kiba reached into his weapons pouch and pulled out a soldier pill. Hinata opened her mouth, and he popped it in. She chewed it with a crunching sound, and sat up with a groan. Kiba picked Naruto up and slung the unconscious genin over his shoulders. You go get Asuma-sensei. I'll take Tazuna and Naruto back to Tazuna's house. He turned to look at the mercenaries, and found to his shock that most of them were dead, attacked from one side by Zabuza and the other by the entirety of Wave, led by a boy holding a crossbow. What the hell? He recognized the boy as Inari, who had just finished cutting through the ranks of hardened mercenaries to reach his grandfather. Well, damn. Kid might make a half-decent wolf after all. As he thought this, he felt Hinata gently slide Naruto off his shoulders. You can take Asuma-sensei instead, but I need to get Naruto to somewhere I can heal him. His chakra network is way too drained. Sure, Kiba replied, and made his way to Asuma, who was next to Inari and Tazuna. Hinata carried Naruto through the battlefield of Gata's making, carefully dodging every blow near her with efficiency. The effects of the soldier pill would eventually wear off, leaving her even more drained, and would likely leave her unconscious for an extended period, so she had to make good use of the little energy the pill had given her. Just when Tazuna's house was in sight, Naruto groaned weakly. Hinata-chan? It's all right, Naruto. We won, and we're alive? She smiled up at him softly. Yes. We're alive. What about Asuma-sensei and Kiba? Both fine. Gatu arrived, and Zabuza's probably killed him by now. Zabuza? That's what I saw. Weird, he observed, and passed out again. Naruto woke, panting, in a Konoha hospital bed. He was still sweating from his nightmare of being eaten by a giant, roaring orange fox. He looked around, horribly disoriented. He'd never been in a room like this before. His last few memories were hazy and incomplete, and everything in the room was shining. Shinra Tensei. And then one of the ice mirrors was missing from the formation, and Haku was running away from him. Rinna Tensei. After that, his next memory was of looking down at Hinata, who was breathing again, looking up at him and telling him he had the Rinnegan. The Rinnegan? Naruto sat up, and brought a hand into his field of vision. Whoa. His hand was glistening, pulsing with a dim yet clearly visible blue light. Is this my chakra? He flexed his hand into a fist, then loosened it again. Everything else is shining with light too, everything. It's like the walls and the floor have chakra too. Is this what Hinata sees with her Byakugan? Hinata. He remembered. She died. I brought her back, I think, but is she still okay? He leapt out of the bed, and made for the door, but before he reached it, it opened of its own accord. The third Hokage stepped through, smiling. Good morning, Naruto-kun. Hokage-sama. Is Hinata all right? She's fine. She was here earlier this morning, in fact. The Hokage gestured to the glass vase at Naruto's bedside, which held a single, bright orange rose. Where Hinata had found one of those, no one would ever know. Both of you were suffering from severe chakra exhaustion, and to everyone's surprise, Hinata was the first to recover. The first thing she asked about was likewise your condition, and I had to inform her you were still recovering. That was 2 days ago. How long was I out? 11 days. Chakra exhaustion like what you suffered is serious business. You could have died, but you're lucky. Your chakra network is surprisingly resilient. The Hokage reached out and flicked the spike of white hair at the edge of Naruto's forehead. Did you do what I think you did, to suffer this much damage? What do you mean? Naruto reached up to the white tuft of hair. I'm injured? I suppose you should just take a look for yourself. From within a pocket of his robe, the third withdrew a hand mirror. I had been ready to use ninjutsu to wake you, in case you weren't yet awake, but the medic Nin who was attending you predicted you to wake up today, and I planned accordingly, he commented. Naruto took the mirror, and looked down at his reflection. Two wide Rinnegan eyes stared back at him. The white hair, he finally asked after gawking for a while. What happened there? You forced so much chakra through your pathways at once that they were ruptured. I've only seen a shinobi's hair whiten like that once before, and it happened to his whole head. He was dead in a matter of hours. Naruto blanched. Fortunately, whatever healing power you have was able to minimize the damage, the Hokage added quickly. Your chakra pathways have recovered, as have you. You'll live. Perhaps a few years less than you might have, but you'll live. Does that mean I shouldn't use the Rinnegan anymore? No, it does not, the Hokage answered firmly. With those eyes you have the potential to become one of the most powerful shinobi in the world. Just use your powers carefully. And whatever jutsu you use, that puts such a strain on your body, please avoid using it from now on. I doubt you'd survive a second use of it. Now, the Hokage continued, come with me. Some very important people are very interested in what transpired in the Land of Waves. Wait. Naruto followed him. Can I see Hinata first? That won't be necessary. Hinata's one of the people we're going to see. Huh? Naruto ran to catch up with the Hokage. Wait up, Hokage-sama. Naruto was suddenly very aware that he was still wearing a hospital gown. Gathered in the Hokage's office were three faces he recognized: Hinata, the fire daimyo, and Asuma-sensei. There were also four whom he'd never seen before: an old man leaning on a cane with his face wrapped in bandages, a younger but still old man with a fluffy white mane and red marks on his cheeks, a man who was wearing white and blue kage robes, hence apparently the Kazekage, and a man with black hair and pearly white eyes, wearing the Hyuga crest on the right sleeve of his robes. Naruto, the Hokage began, and sat behind his desk. Please give us the most detailed report you can of how you unlocked the Rinnegan, and what you did with it. Naruto blinked. It all started when me and Hinata were training in the woods, he began hesitantly. We took a minute to relax, and this kid found us, and said he was looking for medical herbs. It didn't take long before we figured out he was working with Zabuza. You guys all know who Zabuza is, right? A collective nod answered that question. Right, so, this kid starts fighting us with an ice release. I guess it was a Kekkei Genkai, and then Kiba showed up and helped us fight him off. He came back a few seconds later and trapped us all in a dome made out of ice. We were able to break out of it. He paused, and looked at Hinata. No, Hinata got us out of it. She blushed faintly, and me and Kiba left her to recover because she used up all her chakra. Hayashi Hyuga's eyes narrowed. So we went after this ice kid, Haku, to save Tazuna and Asuma-sensei, and we found Asuma fighting Zabuza and Haku 2-on-1. He was putting up a great fight, but he was outnumbered, so Kiba took on Zabuza and I fought Haku. Only Haku had so much more chakra than I did, cause I'd been training, and there was the ice dome, and all that I'm making excuses. Naruto ran a hand through his hair nervously. Anyway, Haku was beating me. He had me surrounded by a bunch of plates of ice, like mirrors, and he could throw Saban through all of them. He said some stupid stuff about me giving up and letting him kill Tazuna. I said no way, and then Hinata showed up. She used a substitution jutsu on me, put herself inside Haku's power, and got cut up by Saban too. Hayashi's eyes narrowed further. So I went back in to help her, but she got hit by a Saban in the heart. All eyes turned to Hinata, who was completely focused on Naruto's story, her eyes wide. After that it starts getting hazy. I started screaming, and this voice asked me, what would you do to save her? To erase this moment as though it had never happened to her? And I said I'd do anything. By now, both Naruto and Hinata were blushing furiously, and that little conversation was all in my head. By the way, he said in a small voice, then steeled himself and spoke louder. Next thing I remember, I said Shinra Tensei, but I don't know what the jutsu did cause I don't remember the next few seconds. After that, I looked down at Hinata, he shuddered, and she wasn't breathing, so I said Rinna Tensei. Everyone in the room sharply drew in a collective breath. Next thing I remember, Hinata was looking up at me, alive again, and she told me he pointed at his right eye. She told me about these. Then Haki used another jutsu, and I used Shinra Tensei again, but I still don't remember what it actually did cause I passed out. Then, Hinata was carrying me. I guess she took a soldier pill for extra chakra? Anyway, she was carrying me, and said we won. Then I passed out again, and woke up back here in Konoha. The room fell deathly silent, and Naruto looked around at the gathering of extremely powerful people as though he had done something terribly wrong and was expecting an equally terrible punishment. Finally, the Hokage spoke. Gentlemen, he addressed the adults, you have all the answers Naruto and I can provide at this time. With the exception of Jiraiya, I must ask you all to leave. No one argued, but Hayashi made his way to Naruto instead of the door, clamping a hand onto the genin's shoulder. Uzumaki, you and I will be having a very long talk about you and my daughter. Then he too left the room. Only Naruto, Hinata, the Hokage and Jiraiya remained. Naruto and Hinata immediately leapt from their respective chairs and hugged each other. Ahem, the Hokage cleared his throat, and the two released each other. Naruto, Hinata, I'd like you to meet Jiraiya, the Toad Sage of the Sannin, and the only ninja in the known world who has first-hand experience with the Rinnegan and isn't a missing nin. Jiraiya flashed a proud grin. With respect, Hokage-sama, that's legendary Toad Sage of the legendary Sannin. Yes, well, the Hokage replied with a sigh. Naruto. Jiraiya here was your father's Jounin sensei. He gestured to Jiraiya, whose grin broadened. Just as I was, in turn, his sensei. He's one of the most powerful shinobi in the world, and he's agreed to train you, Naruto. Naruto blinked, looked to Jiraiya, then the Hokage, and then Hinata. She nodded to him subtly, and whispered with a smile, good luck. Naruto shook his head, and faced Jiraiya. I'm sorry, Hokage-sama, Jiraiya-sama, but I can't. I've trained with Hinata-chan for 2 years, and that's gotten me to where I am today. What? Jiraiya roared in shock. Kid, this isn't a deal you just pass up. It's the opportunity of a lifetime. Someone thinks highly of himself, Naruto thought, but said nothing. And Naruto-kun Hinata began shakily, Jiraiya-sama is right. You'd get so powerful with that kind of tea training. Exactly. Naruto intertwined his hand with hers, and she blushed. Jiraiya-sama, as much as I appreciate it, I can't accept your offer, unless you train me and Hinata together. Everyone's eyes widened, and Naruto beamed. I already said I'd do anything for her, didn't I? Believe it, Hinata-chan and I got this far without a sensei at all, so imagine how strong we'd get if we trained under one of the Sannin. It wouldn't be fair at all for Hinata to miss out while I get the opportunity of a lifetime. Jiraiya nodded along with everything Naruto said, chuckling quietly, and when the blonde genin finished, he let himself laugh louder. Oh, I see how it is, this should be fun, and you're right anyway. Jiraiya turned his gaze on Hinata. As a Hyuga, you have incredible chakra control honed through the Byakugan and gentle fist, don't you? Hinata nodded after a brief hesitation. Why yes. My gentle fist isn't as good as some of the other Hyuga, but I use ninjutsu too, she trailed off. What Hinata-chan means is, Naruto continued, she can do things no other Hyuga has even tried to do in decades, and she's great at it. Hinata blushed and tried to hide herself deeper inside her hoodie, but got nowhere. Jiraiya nodded, smirking but not laughing at this point. Hinata, what exactly did you do to earn such praise from Naruto? What makes him say that you're great at it? The Water Dragon Bullet, she replied reluctantly, and Jiraiya's eyebrows slid upward. I have found out in the land of waves that I finally have enough chakra to use it, but not for too long. I see. Jiraiya rubbed his custom forehead protector thoughtfully. Well, since I'll be stuck here in Konoha anyway, training Naruto and such, I suppose I might as well train you too. There are a few jutsu you might be able to make particularly effective use of, if all this is true. Thank you, Jiraiya-sama, I mean, Jiraiya-sensei. Jiraiya grinned. So here's the deal. I'll stick around and train you two for the next couple of months, and as a bonus, I'll stick around to see you two compete in the Chunin exams. But after that, you two had better be damn strong. In fact, I'll make you the deal right now. Jiraiya stood, and held out his hand palm up, forming a spinning sphere of chakra in his palm. This is the Rinnegan, an A-rank jutsu that requires no hand seals and no elemental affinity. Hinata, you're gonna learn it by the start of the Chunin exams. He turned to Naruto. You kid, you're gonna learn to use those eyes properly. You'll be unlocking and mastering each path of the Rinnegan with my training, and you'll have 3 of them unlocked by the start of the Chunin exams. Those are my terms, meet them and I'll keep training you too. No problem, Naruto announced loudly. Me and Hinata-chan should have all that done in 2 weeks, tops. Believe it, I don't, Jiraiya replied, with a slight hint of cold anger in his tone. The tasks I've set for you are not easy. That's why doing them in 2 months is a fair challenge. Jiraiya made a fist, destroying the Rinnegan in his hand. Meet me in training ground 35 tomorrow morning. We'll start your training then. The Toad Sage left the room, and Hinata immediately hugged Naruto again. And Naruto-kun, thank you so much, Naruto. Hinata, the Hokage interrupted whatever Naruto had been about to say. One last thing before you go, the Chunin exams, as Jiraiya mentioned, are in 2 months, and you will be competing in them. The level of power you two demonstrated in the Land of Waves, it's just laughable for you two to remain genin at this point, not to mention the quick thinking you showed in the Shirokin. Now be on your way. The Hokage sighed. I have a lot more to deal with today. Blushing at the mention of the Shirokin, Naruto and Hinata quickly left the room. Naruto. Open your eyes. Naruto knew he was dreaming immediately, judging solely by the fact that he was staring up at a completely different ceiling from the one he'd gone to sleep under. He sat up, and realized he had been laying in shallow water. His back was soaked. Huh! Who's there? Over here, Naruto. He turned, and saw a smiling face looking back at him, a face framed by yellow hair as bright and spiky as his own. Next to this man, Minato Namikaze, stood a woman of the same age, with the long, scarlet hair characteristic of the Uzumaki clan. Naruto's eyes widened. Come here, son. Naruto stood, and made his way to his parents' arms. They embraced him, and he let himself cry. It's okay, Naruto. It's us, we're here now, it's not a dream. His father ruffled Naruto's hair. It's time we gave you some answers. Naruto listened, still crying quietly. Look over there, Naruto, his mother pointed, and he looked. At the far end of this giant red sewer they were in, there was a wall of golden bars that held back a giant, growling orange fox with 9 massive tails lashing behind it. That's the Kyuubi no Kitsune, the 9 tails that attacked our village 12 years ago. That night, we tried everything to stop it, but ultimately we had to resort to this situation. You're what's called a Jinchuriki, his father continued. One of 9 humans who carry a tailed beast sealed within them. So why me? Why seal the Kyuubi in your own son? Naruto whispered, trembling. Because you're strong enough to control him, Minato replied. But that's not all. I sealed my own and Kushina's chakra in here, a leftover of our souls, so we could give you these answers. We would have wanted to be there for you from the start, but you only triggered this function of the seal when you used the Kyuubi's chakra for a moment in the land of waves. And then you awakened the Rinnegan, which cut that chakra off from you. I don't understand that at all. It's simple. We wanted you to have the power to defend yourself, so until you unlocked your Rinnegan the seal was set to leak the massive chakra of a Bija through to you. Once you had the Rinnegan, which we're so proud of you for by the way, that leak was dangerous and unnecessary, so it was sealed. Mom, Dad, how did I do that anyway? How'd I get the Rinnegan? This time, Kushina spoke. It's triggered by absolute devotion to another person, a willingness to do absolutely anything to protect them. Your mind rationalizes this, and turns it into a question. What would you do to save this person? Naruto realized the correct answer, the one that got me the Rinnegan, was anything. That's right. For better or worse, you didn't stop to think about what exactly anything would entail, you just made that choice on instinct. And it didn't have to be that kind of love specifically, but you awakened it to save Hinata Hyuga. Minato beamed. My little boy's all grown up, I see. Naruto blushed, and Kushina smacked her husband on the back of the head. Moving on, Kushina announced, smirking as Minato rubbed the sore spot. There's a scroll in the Uzumaki clan trunk we left you, that should explain how to properly use the Rinnegan. The one I couldn't open, Naruto remembered. It's about the Rinnegan? Kushina nodded. And it's sealed so only someone with a Rinnegan will be able to open it. Once you've read through some of it, you should be able to remember using its jutsu, such as Shinra Tensei. She beamed and ruffled his hair. I was never able to do it myself, you know. I was born with another Kekkei Genkai instead. But you, Naruto, you'll be able to put that scroll to good use. But there's something else very important we have to talk to you about. Minato laid a hand on his son's shoulder. We don't understand the whole situation yet. We died before we could piece it together. But Akatsuki is trying to gather all 9 of the Bijou and recombine their powers into the demon that the Sage of 6 Paths defeated 1,000 years ago. The Ten Tails. Even a single Bijou's power, channeled back into the Ten Tails, you have to stop them, Naruto. Stop the Akatsuki, gather the Jinchuriki before they do, present a combined front, and defeat them. Okay, Naruto replied. I'll do that. I was already gonna become the Hokage, and with that kind of influence the other Jinchuriki should listen to me. But how will I recognize them? That's just it, Naruto. Kushina smiled down at him. Each Jinchuriki bears a stigma, a mark of their Bija. You have your 6 whiskers, for example. We don't really know all of them, but Shikaku the One-Tail gives its Jinchuriki black rings around the eyes. The 3 Tails marks its host with a pattern like a stitch on the left cheek. The 7 Tails turns the bearer's hair teal and their eyes orange, and the 8 Tails puts a mark like a bull's horn tattoo on its Jinchuriki's cheek. Now, some of these marks might be covered by their bearers, but if you search for them, they'll likely seek you out in return. Kushina intertwined her hand with Minato's and finished. We have to go now, Naruto. We don't have much chakra here inside you, and when it runs out we'll vanish forever. We need to conserve it for the next time. Naruto nodded numbly, and his parents hugged him. Goodbye for now, Naruto. So Naruto stood alone in front of the cage that had been placed in his subconscious, a few moments later. You're the Kyuubi no Kitsune, huh? The creature that attacked Konoha the night I was born? That's right, the creature within answered, making no effort to hide its annoyance. Why did you stay here, after your parents left to conserve what pathetic little chakra they had remaining? I wanted to talk to you. Naruto stared up into the hate-filled eyes of the strongest of the Bija. Is that really your name? Kyuubi no Kitsune? No, the fox replied, surprised by the question. My name's Naruto Uzumaki. The boy continued to stare up at him without a trace of fear or even hatred. This was likely due to the rather solid wall between the two, the demon noted idly, but there was still a chance the boy was just that plucky. I'm sure you already knew that, but it feels right to introduce myself anyway. I will not tell the likes of you my name, the Kyuubi growled again, louder this time and with a hint of condescension. Don't bother asking again. So what should I call you then? Don't call me anything. You don't interest me, so I'd rather not talk with you at all. Naruto looked around. It's so dark and depressing in here. Is that because you like it this way? I don't think my mind would naturally look like this, so did you make it look like this? The Kyuubi snorted. Don't blame it on me. I had nothing to do with the pitiful state of this inner world of yours. As you can see, his tails lashed out in all directions, striking the bars of his cage. I'm completely trapped in here. But to answer your question, I don't care particularly for this scenery. It wouldn't be a great view even if I hadn't been looking at it for the past 12 years. Since you attacked the village and killed countless people, you mean? My parents, the parents of some of my classmates, some of the people I might have been classmates with are dead because of you. Then why do I see no hatred in your eyes? The QB rumbled. Why do you choose to speak with me? Because I don't understand why you did it. Why kill them? They never did anything to you, did they? I killed them because they were human. I hate you and all your kind. It's what? Horrible? Monstrous? Evil? Sad? It's sad. Why don't you hate me? The QB repeated, startled by this point. Because I feel bad for you. Naruto smiled sadly up at the look of surprise on the demon's face. The Sage of Six Paths created you, right? By splitting up the chakra of the 10 tails into 9 entities? So, in a sense, you were born because of a human. Is that why you hate us? Because you didn't ever want to exist? Or is it because the humans saw you as a monster and hated you first? Were you innocent in the beginning? The QB remained silent, pondering this. Then he spoke up louder, angrier. Do you seek to tame me, child? To make my power your own? No. It'd be nice to be that strong, but I don't want a shortcut to that power. I'm here, Naruto admitted, because I know what it's like to feel hate. To be hated. I know how much it hurts, QB. If it hadn't been for Hinata, and Irika-sensei, and some of the other kids who looked at me like a real person, I might have turned out like you did, hating the whole world and thinking to myself, they deserve it. They started it, they treated me like this, so it's their fault. I might have really done it, but then someone was there for me, and she saved me from that darkness. The QB listened patiently, until Naruto finished, and it replied, You're not the first human to play that card against me. I don't want your pity. No, I understand that too. Pity isn't as bad as hate, because you know they're trying to help, but it still makes you feel low. Less than what you are, and what you want to be. Naruto smiled again. You know, this really is just a projection of my mind. It's a thought, and I can change that thought really easily. He looked around, humming thoughtfully, and then snapped his fingers. The dim-lit crimson sewer was replaced by a vast, serene valley ringed with trees bearing sweet fruit. The floor beneath them turned to an endless sea of soft, warm grass. The ceiling became a sky with its own glorious yellow, no, orange sun, in a perpetual sunrise. The QB looked around, shocked, even as its cage expanded to give it room to wander. Then, its attention snapped back to the boy who had done all this in the blink of an eye. Naruto was still smiling. Do you like it? I guess a bijou might find it a bit too tranquil. I could make it whatever you want. Any suggestions? 12 years I festered in a lapdog's cage in a stinking sewer, and now this, the QB mused. I might yet give you my name after all. I think it's morning out in the real world, Naruto said with a glance to the cloudless sky. I'll see you again tomorrow night. Naruto woke, and sat up as soon as his eyes were open. He yawned, stretched, and crawled out of bed. He quickly changed into a black shirt and neon orange pants, then stuffed his mother's Rinnegan scroll in his pocket. He made himself a bowl of ramen for breakfast, and packed 2 more dry rectangular packages of instant ramen into the weapons pouch on the back of his pants. After that, he made his way to the front door of the manor and opened it. Hinata stood on the other side, with her fist raised to knock. Oh. Hi, Naruto-kun. Hinata-chan. He greeted her with a hug and a quick yet hesitant kiss, at which they both blushed. I figured you'd be waiting at the training ground. And no, I wouldn't go without you. She blushed again, and toyed with her index fingers. It seemed that little habit had resurfaced, despite her efforts to suppress it. So, this is the Uzumaki Manor? Yeah, hey, maybe I could show you around after we train with Jiraiya-sensei? I'd like that. Along the way to training ground 35, Naruto grinned as another topic of conversation came to him. Hinata-chan, you remember those pranks I always used to pull? She giggled. You spray-painted the Hokage monument just a few weeks ago. Not one of my better ideas, Naruto admitted. But hey, I just thought of an idea for a good one. I was thinking maybe you and I could pull some massive prank against Team 7. Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Harino, Rock Lee, Kakashi Hatake. You really think the two of us could? I haven't really thought of anything, but maybe you and I could brainstorm tonight, huh? That actually sounds really exciting. Great. And maybe if we had our faces covered they'd still suspect me, at least, so we'd have to use a jutsu no one thinks we know. They say the Rinnegan lets its user learn any jutsu really quickly, and use all the elements, so maybe if I use something like an earth release. He paused. Wait a minute, I just remembered, Hinata, when you use your Byakugan, does it look to you like everything has chakra? Not just people? Yes. She exclaimed. I've talked to the other Hyuga, but they never saw it that way. They always say it's just a side effect of my weak Byakugan, and it's not really chakra, but I can tell. So they don't see it? I don't think so. If they do, they're lying when they say they don't. Maybe your Byakugan is special, if you can see something no one else can. And one day, we'll figure out how to use this chakra we're seeing. I never even considered that, Hinata replied. Do you really think so? Naruto nodded immediately, And she flashed a smile back, then looked down thoughtfully. When I woke up after the effects of the soldier pill, I couldn't find a Suma-sensei or Kiba-kun. I asked Hokage-sama, and he said they were training alone outside the village. He told me our team wouldn't be getting any missions until after the Chunin exams, and I haven't seen a Suma-sensei or Kiba-kun at all since then. Naruto pondered this. Maybe that's a good thing. Kiba's gonna need to get strong too, and a Suma-sensei taught him a lot of fire-release jutsu and wave. I think Kiba's best suited to learning from a Suma-sensei, and with all that time being trained one-on-one we'll all do great in the Chunin exams. I can feel it. Naruto-kun! Hinata exclaimed suddenly and excitedly. I just realized if your Rinnegan can see chakra like my Byakugan, can you see my chakra network, or any of the points on it? Naruto replied sadly. I can see where you're going with that, Hinata-chan, but it's a bad idea. She looked down sadly. Teaching you the gentle fist, you're right. My father would have you killed for knowing those techniques. Can you see them, though? I can see the network glowing through your whole body, but all that light just blends together. I can't make out the actual chakra pathways at all. Shortly after that, they arrived at Training Ground 35, where Jiraiya was waiting. It was a simple paved field dotted with wooden dummies and posts, some of which were badly damaged. Good morning, the Toad Sage greeted with a cheerful grin. Now, I'd like to be clear on something before we get started. I'm gonna push you two harder than you'd ever dream of pushing yourselves. But I'll do it in such a way that you won't resent me for it, and in the long run, you'll become powerful shinobi with what you learn from me. You might even thank me. But before that, there's gonna be pain, exhaustion, and maybe fear for your lives. We'll start off slow, you are still genin after all, but after that Jiraiya trailed off. You two think you can handle it? No problem, said Naruto as Hinata nodded solemnly. Good. Jiraiya reached into one of his pockets and pulled out a water balloon. Hinata, break that with just your chakra control. Spin your chakra around in your palm until it makes the water rip the balloon open. He tossed it to her, and she caught it. That's step 1 out of 3 to learning the Rinnegan. Naruto withdrew his mother's scroll from his pocket and opened it to confirm it was the right one. Jiraiya-sensei, he called, should I be studying this to learn the 6 paths, or do you have something else planned? Jiraiya took the scroll and scanned through a bit of it. This is significantly better material than what I had in mind. He handed it back. It's all there. What the 6 paths do, how to unlock each of them, all the Kekkei Genkai techniques the Rinnegan has to offer, and it's all in Kushina's tidy little handwriting, too. She must have studied the Rinnegan extensively in hopes of unlocking her own. She probably went so far as to condense all of the Uzumaki clan's knowledge on. There was a loud, startling popping sound, and a splash of water hit the ground. Naruto and Jiraiya turned to look at Hinata, who had dropped the remains of the water balloon and was blushing furiously. Sorry. I hadn't meant to interrupt. Stage 1 of the Rinnegan in maybe 20 seconds. I'd known the Hyuga had incredible chakra control, but 20 seconds? That's just ridiculous. Jiraiya snapped free of his thoughts when he noticed Naruto smirking at him. What's so damn funny, kid? Naruto repeated what he had said in the Hokage's office with a grin. 2 weeks. Believe it, Jiraiya blinked then grinned back. If you're serious, then that just means I get to put you through 1.5 months of hell before the Chunin exams. So maybe you should take your time. Naruto considered that for a moment. Before he could come up with something to fire back, Hinata asked, what's stage 2 of the Rinnegan? Jiraiya handed her an air-filled rubber ball. Break that with your chakra. Don't just make it spring a leak, burst it to pieces. Hinata concentrated, and the rubber ball shook slightly in her hand. Is there anything I'm missing? Any advice you could give me? Only one thing. If you're pouring all your chakra into the ball and it won't break, try spinning it the other way. Actually, which way are you spinning it? He reached out and laid a hand on the top of her head. Left, she replied, and looked up at his wrist above her forehead. What are you doing? Checking which way your hair swirls. It goes to the right, so spin your chakra that way. Oh, okay. She focused her chakra again, and yelped in surprise as the balloon exploded in her hands, revealing a glowing blue-white ball of swirling chakra that promptly fell apart in her hand. The resulting gust of wind took Hinata's breath away and nearly knocked her down. Jiraiya slapped a hand over his face to hide the look of deep thought that he wore. She got through 2 stages of the Rinnegan in as many minutes. Damn it, Naruto might actually be right. At this rate, Hinata might learn the Rinnegan by the end of the day, and I'm scared to even look at what Naruto's done behind my back. As if on cue, Naruto's voice said with perfect clarity, here goes nothing. Shinra Tensei. Jiraiya turned, just in time to see 5 dummies obliterated by a wave of invisible force. Whoa, I knew a boy named Nagato who had the Rinnegan, which makes him a distant cousin of yours, Jiraiya began, then continued after a brief pause. He found that he could use Shinra Tensei once every 5 seconds, longer if he added more power to the jutsu. So don't rely on Shinra Tensei too heavily. Naruto nodded. So I've unlocked 1 path. 2 if you count the one I used to bring Hinata back. If I can unlock a 3rd over the next 2 months, do I pass your test? The outer path is somewhat separate from the 6 paths. It's Kinjutsu, and I suggest you never use it again. Unlock 2 more paths in 2 months. Naruto looked down at his scroll. Oh, alright. 2 more paths coming up. In just 2 weeks, Jiraiya-sensei, believe it? Jiraiya nodded numbly. Hinata. He pulled out and inflated a balloon with air, then handed it to her. Stage 3 is the hardest of all. The first stage taught you to spin your chakra, the second taught you to do it with power, the third will require you to do both, and maintain it in a stable sphere shape. You'll do that by creating your first Rinnegan inside this balloon without breaking it. Hinata took the balloon and nodded. That doesn't sound so bad. For you, it might not be. The Rinnegan was created over a period of 3 years by Minato Namikaze, the 4th Hokage, who taught it to me and his student Kakashi Hatake. Both of us took months learning it, and you've already reached the 3rd stage. You're a Hyuga who uses ninjutsu. It's like you were born to master this jutsu. Hinata looked down at the balloon in her palm, and mused. It was created by the 4th Hokage. Naruto's father? Naruto turned to watch and listen to this conversation at the mention of his father. That's right. I'm planning to teach it to Naruto later, but he's not ready for it yet, and the Rinnegan is more important to his skill set. The original idea the 4th had was for a powerful jutsu that required no hand seals, taking one's power over the shape of their chakra to the highest possible point. After that, he planned to add his own nature type to the Rinnegan, but he died before he was able to complete the jutsu. Ironically enough, it was the tailed beast ball that inspired the Rinnegan. Jiraiya paused, and looked up at the sky thoughtfully. Look at the time. He turned an apologetic look on Hinata, then Naruto, as he added, sorry, you too, but there's important research I have to work on. Stay here, continue what you're doing for a few hours, then go home. I'll meet you here again tomorrow. Hey, wait. Naruto called, and reached for Jiraiya's shoulder as though it would help. Body flicker jutsu. Jiraiya vanished. Damn it, Naruto muttered. What the hell was he talking about when he said research? Hinata blushed, and admitted, I did a bit of research on Jiraiya-sensei last night. It turns out he's an established author, and his books are intended for adult readers, she said in a small voice. Adult readers? Naruto asked, puzzled. I don't get it. Hinata played with her fingers and blushed deeper. Once I started looking up the phrase Ika, that's when people started giving me funny looks. I found out the series has a lot of explicit content. Naruto still looked confused, so she finished, in a very quiet voice, Jiraiya-sensei writes p-porn. Naruto blinked. So the research is, he's probably spying on people. The greatest prankster in Konoha flashed a mischievous smirk. Remember how I said pranking Team 7 would be fun? Pranking Pervy Sage would be way better. Pervy Sage? Hinata repeated in disbelief. The name fits, doesn't it? Naruto grinned. Several hours later, Naruto opened the front door to the Uzumaki clan manor, and held it for Hinata to step through. He'd spent the morning learning to properly use Shinra Tensei, and had managed to deactivate his Rinnegan with a sequence of hand seals. The whites of his eyes were white again, and the only visible change to his original eye color was the black circle set into each shining blue iris, a suppressed version of the Rinnegan's pattern. Hinata looked around at the first room of the mansion, eyes wide. It must have been built in the style of Uzushio, not Konoha. It doesn't look anything like the Hyuga estate. Her Byakugan showed her that the walls were tough clay brick underneath, coated in tiles of white marble streaked with gray. The floor was a pattern of ceramic tiles, deep blue with a mosaic pattern of teal swirls over the whole floor. Uzushio got worse weather than Konoha tsunamis. Typhoons. I suppose a building like this would be able to withstand that. She followed him down one of the hallways leading from the entrance, and they emerged from the hall into a large room with a floor of concrete, with a sizable swimming pool set into it. Last night, I read through a bit of the Uzumaki clan's history. Apparently they tested the strength of their children's wind release, by having them whip up a whirlpool in a pool like this. I haven't tried it yet. So, like the Hyuga test the strength of a child's gentle fist? Naruto nodded. When a child could make a maelstrom that touched the bottom of the pool, they were considered an adult Uzumaki. It's also kind of like how the Uchiha clan required their members to know the fireball jutsu. Naruto smiled. I mean, this was still a swimming pool, but it was important. Uzumaki kids like me would grow up swimming in it, knowing one day they'd make a whirlpool in it, he sighed. Well, technically no Uzumaki kid actually used this pool to make a whirlpool, but the ones in Uzushio were identical to this. So, the wind release runs in your family then? Like the fire release and the Uchiha? I guess so. That would explain why the Uzumaki liked it so much, and why I have it in a ninja village full of fire and earth release users. So maybe the water release is in the Hyuga blood, maybe. Hinata stared into the crystal clear water of the pool. Naruto-kun? I still have your Hiyori. Naruto nodded. Right, I left it with you in the land of waves, he beamed. You used the water dragon bullet back there, Hinata-chan. It was awesome, you even kept it going for a while. He looked down at her hands, which were suddenly forming seals. I'm going to try it again, with the water in the pool, she announced shakily, and added, water release, water dragon bullet. The head of an angry dragon rose out of the pool, followed by its long, snaking body which writhed furiously. The creature growled at her refusal to attack something with it, then slithered back into the pool with only a small splash. Hinata smiled proudly. I really did it. A year ago that jutsu almost killed me, she beamed, and turned to Naruto. So, what did you have in mind for a prank on Jiraiya-sensei, I mean, pervy sage? Naruto's eyes widened. I know, I can't believe I just said that either. No, that's not what I was thinking. I was thinking, that's gotta be my new favorite sentence. Naruto grinned. I thought maybe we'd blow pervy sage's cover when he's spying on somebody, and make sure they get a good look at his face. Then, whoever he's spying on is probably gonna spread the word, and then everyone's gonna be ready for him, next time he tries it. And, as a bonus, that means he'll be stuck training us more, instead of doing his research. As they returned down the hallway they had arrived through, Hinata mused, we'd definitely have to cover our faces. I could cover my eyes and use my Byakugan to see through, and you could keep your Rinnegan suppressed. He doesn't know you can do that. Naruto nodded. If we used any jutsu, he'd probably recognize our chakra, but then, he'll suspect me anyway. I've been a prankster my whole life, and you can bet Hokage-sama gave him a warning about me right away. So, that's good. Jiraiya suspecting me will deflect his attention away from you. I'll use Shinra Tensei and throw him into whatever group he's spying on. He'll drag me away, then you show up with even your eyes covered, and tell the girls he's ogling that they were rescued by some all-powerful group of S-rank ninjas, and we'll come up with a good name for ourselves. I don't understand. What's the point of all that? Well, you remember Shikamaru Nara from the academy? He once beat the tar out of me at shogi. He's a genius, believe it. Anyway, he told me something like, in any good strategy, the first attack is always a feint. So the first attack is ruining pervy sage's cover. Even if he covers that up, the people he's spying on say, for instance, they're a bunch of cute girls in a bathhouse, they'll be talking about being saved by a shinobi group not even the Hokage knows about. That's the second attack. We're gonna make pervy sage, heck, most of Konoha, think there's a team of S-rank ninjas stalking the streets at night, and for added fun we'll say I'm one of their leaders. Then, when the time is right, we'll reveal it was just us, but we'll do it so it's a little unambiguous, and then people won't be sure what to believe, but both stories are good for us. He paused for a moment, letting his plan sink in, and then, he added with a grin, there's your alter ego in the group, a kunoichi so skilled that she could stalk and expose a peeping sannin without using her chakra or even her eyes. So, the group has you, or that version of you, as well as their only identified member, the nine-tailed demon fox aka me, as two members of an organization of shinobi, possibly missing Nin, which claims to be vast, powerful, and hidden throughout Konoha right under the nose of the Hokage. And Naruto-kun, how long have you been thinking about this? Hinata asked, wide-eyed. Since this morning, when we found out that pervy sage was actually a pervy sage. Naruto grinned. Not too bad, huh? Hinata nodded. So, a name for a team of S-rank missing Nin. The only existing group like that which comes to my mind is Akatsuki. But we don't want to pattern ourselves after them. Otherwise people might think the two are connected. Even if we go with the theme opposite to Daybreak or Red Dawn, it shows we're trying to match ourselves to them somehow. So, we should go with a name that has no connection to Akatsuki ideally, something without the name of a color in it, and hopefully, no connection to a time of day like morning or dusk, maybe an animal theme, or a weapon we'll all wield. Hinata nodded thoughtfully. The NBU already have an animal theme, with their masks. Maybe we should all carry a certain kind of sword? We can use both. Niken. Depending on how it's written, that could be ninja swords or ninja hounds. We won't wear dog masks though, that's too much like the ANBU. I've got it. We'll wear traditional black ninja outfits, but we'll add fur to parts of the costume, and carry swords on our backs. Naruto grinned. Follow me, Hinata, he shouted gleefully, and led her down a new hallway at a run. And Naruto-kun, where are we going? She called back, following. The Uzumaki clan armory, Naruto replied, as they came to a stop in a room lined with shelves. The shelves, in turn, were lined with weapons, and the most common type was a slightly curved, thin one-handed sword in a leather scabbard. The hilts of these weapons were often glistening brass, but a few were painted black. All were meant for a single-handed grip, and the handguards were bars of metal that extended past the wielder's knuckles to connect the base of the blade to the pommel. Naruto handed one to Hinata, in a soft black leather scabbard. It's called a cutlass, apparently. They were used by pirates off the coast of the land of whirling tides, who sailed from far away in ships a lot bigger than the ones we have here in the elemental countries. The hidden village of Uzushio decided they'd make great ninja weapons, and the Uzumaki in particular made them a symbol of our clan, but they changed the design a little. These are longer than a pirate's cutlass would be, the blades may be 30 inches. Naruto reached for a cutlass with a bronze hilt that was close to a dull orange. I'm not much good at melee combat, but if the wind blade jutsu can turn a kunai into a scimitar this size, imagine what I'd have if I used the same jutsu on a cutlass. I'd be swinging around a sword like Zabuza's, with one hand easily. That's a pretty good deterrent for any close-range opponents. Have you always been putting this much work into a prank? Hinata asked, unsheathing the blade, which was still wet with oil and razor-sharp. Not really, but this is a big one and I want it to work. Plus, it's the first time I've ever worked with you on a prank, so that's another reason I want to put a lot of work into it. And think about it. If we pull this off, Everyone's going to be talking about Niken. We'll be able to reuse the costumes, to keep up the illusion of a group of missing Nin helping Konoha, and maybe the whole world might end up believing we actually exist. And then the other hidden villages would be afraid to mess with Konoha because they'd be messing with Niken too. And it's even better if we publicly claim Niken doesn't exist, cause then it's like we're trying to stay hidden. That's insane, Hinata replied hesitantly, blushing at her own words. There are only 2 of us. This is the kind of thing that kicks off the plot of a shounen manga. You read shounen manga? Naruto asked, wide-eyed. No, but you've told me about a few, remember? You're right though. There's no way we could keep up the charade with 2 people. Maybe we could recruit more people after the Chunin exams, then make some grand return. So, in order to prank Jiraiya-sensei, you're going to actually put together a team of ninjas with the intent of protecting Konoha and rivaling Akatsuki? Hinata couldn't help herself. She let out a giggle, and reddened further. Sorry, she said through more giggling and blushing. Hinata, I think I should just tell you the truth, Akatsuki. I know what they're after. Naruto looked down at his feet. They want the bijou to reassemble into the Ten-Tails so they can take over the world with its power. The Jinchuriki containing them, which includes me, they'll die when their tailed beasts are torn out of them. Hinata's eyes widened. What do you mean? How could you possibly know that? I met my parents last night. My dad, he sealed my parents' remaining chakra into me along with the Kyuubi. They told me everything. Naruto-kun is the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. She blinked. It all makes sense now. Why didn't we figure this out years ago? Why did no one tell him? And that's why your idea is growing so fast, she realized. You know you'll have to fight Akatsuki anyway. She slid the sword back into its scabbard, and announced, let's do it. I'm not sure if anyone will believe it, but a scheme like this, it could be the most exciting thing we ever do as genin. Blushing, she stole a quick kiss. As starting today, we're in Ninken. It took Naruto almost 2 months before he realized that this was when Hinata found out about the demons sealed within him. Jiraiya grinned, as he inspected the perfect orb of swirling chakra in Hinata's right palm. It had been 2 days since the formation of Niken, and the plan for their debut was coming together nicely. Excellent work, Hinata. You've actually learned the Rasengan in 3 days. That has to be the most incredible thing I've ever seen done by a shinobi below Jounin rank, and I doubt there's a shinobi in the world other than the 5 Kage that could learn the Rasengan this quickly. Now use it on that dummy over there. Jiraiya pointed to the wooden mannequin, with a bullseye for Shuriken Jutsu on its chest. Hinata nodded, and glanced down at her Rasengan, then back to the target. She pulled back her hand, and Jiraiya blinked in surprise. What are you dash? She threw her Rasengan, which struck the target's chest and obliterated the entire dummy, melting a small crater into the pavement in the process. Jiraiya stared. Was that wrong? Hinata asked, terrified at the silence that hung in the air. I can't believe it. What's wrong? She asked with a hint of panic in her tone. You threw it. You threw it. I am as sorry. I thought I was as supposed to. Jiraiya turned, shocking her with his grin. The Rasengan was based on the tailed beast ball, a projectile attack. It gets more powerful when you throw it. I should have known. Jiraiya formed his own sphere of chakra and threw it at another dummy, bellowing Rasengan, as it struck, to explode and blow a significantly larger hole in the ground than Hinata's Rasengan did. I can't believe it. I really shouldn't have underestimated you too. 2 weeks. Naruto-kun never goes back on his word, Hinata proclaimed with determination and subtle admiration in her voice. He told me this morning that he intended to unlock the Preta path by absorbing one of his own ninjutsu, and the human path by learning a jutsu from all 4 nature types other than wind release. He can do that in 2 weeks, I just know it. Maybe so. I never said he had to master any path over the 2 months. Jiraiya grinned again. I'm damned glad he convinced me to train you, Hinata-chan. She beamed and blushed at the praise and use of an honorific. Thank you, Jiraiya-sensei. I'll continue to make you proud. Jiraiya nodded, and wandered off while muttering something about his research. Hinata emulated Naruto's mischievous smile as best she could, aiming it at the back of Jiraiya's spiky white mane. Jiraiya-sensei, pervy sage, you really have no idea what's coming. I almost feel bad about this. When Naruto returned a few minutes later, he noticed Jiraiya's absence, and handed Hinata a green scroll. I finished the storage seals. It's really basic Fuinjutsu, but I've never done it before, so it's kind of confusing me at this point. Your outfit and sword are in there, and it takes maybe 2 seconds to open the scroll and take it out of the seal. Plus, these things are reusable, so you can put the outfit back in, just by pushing it into the paper with a burst of chakra. He pulled an identical scroll out of his weapons pouch, and showed it to her with a grin. 4 shinobi and a very lifelike puppet entered Konoha that night, wearing the forehead protectors of Suna, the village hidden in the sands. Gaara no Sabaku was the first to pass through the gates of the village, with his arms folded over his chest and a subdued scowl on his face. Inside, however, he was grinning madly. Can you feel it, mother? Many powerful shinobi will taste all of their blood, mother. Yes, my child. Kill them all, when the time is right, Shikaku replied. Kill them all. Gaara looked forward, and he let himself smirk. I look forward to proving the value of my existence, he growled quietly. Naruto, once again wearing his father's Haori, stared back at the dull black eyes of the genin standing between him and Ichiraku Ramen, thoroughly puzzled. I'm sorry, could you maybe run that by me again? No problem at all. The green-clad boy replied with unnatural enthusiasm. My name is Rock Lee. I am a genin of Konoha's Team 7, the only genin in Konoha who has no ninjutsu or genjutsu. As such, I hope to become a great ninja with only my talent for taijutsu, and I would like to test that talent against you, Naruto Uzumaki, a devoted user of ninjutsu. Would you honor me with a friendly sparring match? Naruto blinked again. I guess so? But I'd kinda like to have lunch first. He scratched the back of his head. I see. I'm obstructing your way to this restaurant. Please carry on, and forgive my rudeness. Lee stepped aside, apparently not noticing the looks of incomprehension Tucci and Ayam were giving him. Naruto stepped into the ramen stand, and as usual, a bowl of his favorite miso ramen was placed in front of him. So, Uzumaki-san, Lee sat down next to him. I have heard that something unusual happened between you and Hinata Hyuga during your mission to the Land of Waves. He glanced at Tucci. Oh, I forget myself, this is an eatery. I will have whatever he is having. He turned back to Naruto. Uzumaki-san, are you dating Hinata Hyuga? Naruto choked on his ramen and coughed out, What? Are you dating Hinata Hyuga? Lee repeated, with exactly the same calm tone. Why would you even ask me something like that? The other genin are all wondering whether you are dating Hyuga. I decided I should ask you before we spar. Okay, I'm dating her. But don't tell anyone about that. We don't want any gossip getting back to Hayashi. I understand completely. I promise, I will not tell a soul. Lee flashed a thumbs up and a grin. Naruto rapidly finished his bowl of ramen, and Lee copied him by downing his bowl almost as quickly. So, Uzumaki-san, are you ready to spar now? Yeah, let's take it outside, and try not to break anything, alright? Lee nodded. You have my word. Naruto led him outside into the street, and Lee produced a Konoha forehead protector which he donned formally. From where he had pulled it, Naruto didn't bother guessing. Alright, let's get started, MF. He exclaimed as Lee's fist collided with his cheek, sending him flying. He sat up, dazed, and saw Lee with one open hand extended palm up, and the other tucked behind his back. I apologize, Uzumaki-san. I had not intended to hit you with a surprise attack. I had simply assumed you were ready. I did too. Naruto stood. This isn't gonna be easy. Alright. He called, and started forming hand seals. My ninjutsu versus your taijutsu, believe it. Wind release, wind scar. A wave of wind blades ripped forward, carving shallow lines into the dirt as they approached Lee. In a blur, the green genin easily dodged, and rapidly closed in on Naruto. Erasing wind. The boy was lifted off his feet and dropped back to earth 20 feet away, but he landed on his feet easily and attempted to move in again. Naruto retreated, and formed more hand seals. Wind release, air bullet, ah. I see the stories about your skill were not exaggerated. Lee shouted happily as he dodged the attack. An upper B-rank ninjutsu that has not tired you significantly. This will be an exciting match, Uzumaki-san. By this point, the boy was simply standing there to finish his sentence, but when he finished, he lunged at Naruto, who pulled a shuriken from his weapon's pouch and threw it at Lee. Shuriken shadow clones. The shuriken split apart in a dark blur, turning into 211 shuriken. Lee dodged most, but took 2 shallow cuts to his left forearm, and winced. It is nothing. If I cannot defeat you through the pain of a few wounds, I will do 1,000 push-ups tonight, plus 100 sit-ups for each wound. He's crazy, Naruto realized, and resolved not to cut Lee again. Wait a minute, I remember you. You're the kid on Team 7 with Sasuke and Sakura. What the hell happened to you? I have been training, and devoting my time entirely to taijutsu. I will become a great ninja with only these fists, Uzumaki-san. He isn't kidding. In my time at the academy, there was only one guy worse than me at the clone jutsu who graduated. This is him. Even before Hinata and I started training, at least I could create something. This guy? Not even a cloud of smoke. Naruto flashed a grin back at Lee. You're pretty good already. Naruto praised, and added, Okay, I can see you're taking this seriously, so I'm gonna try a few new jutsu I've never used before. You'll be the first to ever see me use them, believe it. Lee nodded, and resumed his initial stance, then faltered. Wait, Uzumaki-san. It would be disrespectful for me to hold back while you go all out. Please give me a moment. Sure. You get ready, and I'll do the same. Naruto pulled a green scroll out of his weapon's pouch. Do me a favor though, don't tell anyone you saw me doing this. At least not for a few days. As before, Uzumaki-san, you have my word. Lee beamed and flipped another thumbs up. I swear on my youth. Huh. Naruto replied quietly enough that Lee didn't hear. What the hell does that mean? As Lee unclasped a set of training weights from his calves, Naruto pulled the Uzumaki clan cutlass out of the storage seal, unsheathing it. Wind release, wind blade jutsu. He breathed out a coating of wind chakra onto the weapon, and the ethereal blades grew to become a 7-foot sword curved like a scimitar, wrapped around the existing weapon. A bit of concentration dulled the blades of wind so they would strike Lee but not wound him. I've never been much good at close range, but this should help once Lee gets past my ninjutsu. He stabbed the weapon into the ground so he could form more hand seals. Earth release, earth wall jutsu. Lee and Naruto lost sight of each other as a slice of earth 2 feet thick and 20 feet long rose 10 feet into the air. It was promptly shattered by a fist wrapped in bandages, and Naruto stepped back, now startled. At this rate, I might end up using my Rinnegan, but that's not fair at all. Lee signed up to fight the ninjutsu I graduated with, not the eyes of the Sage of Six Paths. Even if he wins, that isn't fair. Naruto snapped out of his thoughts when Lee arrived in a green blur and struck him in the gut. He coughed as he was thrown backward, spitting out a bit of blood, and landed face down in the middle of the dirt road. Naruto got up, and was able to block the second strike with his new wind blade, but Lee kept coming in a blur. His eyes squeezed shut as a blow struck his ribs, and when they opened, the Rinnegan had activated. Lee's eyes widened, but he didn't pull a single punch. The next strike, aimed for Naruto's solar plexus, was blocked by a plate of black metal that materialized merely an inch above the skin. Lee pulled back, and clutched his knuckles, which dripped a bit of blood. "I'm sorry!" Naruto frantically called, and suppressed his Rinnegan. "I never meant to." "It is all right, Uzumaki-san. It simply means I will need to." Lee looked down at his bandaged fist. "Counting these 500 sit-ups, if I do not defeat you." He beamed, as though excited about both possibilities, and the sun glinted on his teeth. "No," Naruto said sadly. "I used the Rinnegan, and that was cheating. The deal was just my ninjutsu against your taijutsu, and I didn't mean to use my eyes, but it happened, and it's cheating." "You win, Uzumaki-san?" Lee's eyes were wide. "You forfeit?" "I actually won?" "Yeah. It wasn't fair for me to use the Rinnegan, and besides, I need time to figure out what exactly I just did with it." Lee beamed, looking down at his hands. "I will become a great ninja after all. Gai-sensei, I will make you proud. Naruto-san, you have honor that could only be shown by one who enjoys the springtime of youth. Please be my friend." Okay?" "Yeah, sure." Naruto flipped a thumbs up in imitation of Lee. "Just call me Naruto. Only Hinata calls me Naruto-kun, and Naruto-san is way too formal." "Of course. You may call me Rock." Lee gave his own thumbs up and a disturbingly shiny grin. "Yeah, see you around, Rock." Naruto smiled back, and sheathed his cutlass, dispelling the wind blade around it. He waved a hand to repair the damage done to the road by his earth wall. "I will see you at the Chunin exams, Naruto." Lee picked up his training weights, and added, "May the fires of our youth carry us far into the upper ranks of the shinobi." Then he vanished in a blur of green. Naruto resolved to ask Lee what exactly he was talking about, then glanced down at the plate of metal he'd created from nothing to block Lee's last attack. Did I just unlock the Azura path of the Rinnegan? He picked up the plate, which dissolved into dust that faded into invisible chakra. "So, I've got the Deva path for gravity manipulation, the human path for affinities to all 5 elements, and the Azura path to make weapons out of thin air. And it's only been 12 days. Yeah!" Naruto shouted, and threw a fist into the air. "I really did it. 3 paths in 2 weeks. Believe it!" Jiraiya couldn't believe it. Hinata stood before him, beaming proudly with a Rasengan in each hand, while Naruto was grinning at his own success with the Rinnegan, which he had demonstrated moments ago. "I can see now that I underestimated you too badly. From now on, I'll train you at your proper level. Starting 2 days from now, we'll be doing non-stop survival training for the next 3 weeks, so bring food." Naruto's grin faltered, and Hinata's double Rasengan vanished. Jiraiya laughed at how quickly their pride had faded. "Hey, I did tell you it was gonna get harder. We need to test the limits of your endurance now. You've shown that you have the necessary power to defeat fearsome opponents, like the ones you'll face in the Chunin exams, but now we'll see how long you can keep up a healthy offense and defense, as well as using stealth and escape tactics, over a prolonged period like an actual mission." He looked up at the sky, stained crimson by the still rising sun. "I'll give you 2 the rest of today and all of tomorrow to get ready, pack your equipment. I recommend using generic storage fuinjutsu to save a lot of space." He turned away with a grin. "Now back to my research body flicker jutsu." He was only here for 10 minutes, Naruto grumbled at the spot where Jiraiya had stood. "I'm glad he won't be getting a chance to try this again." He deactivated his Rinnegan, and added, "Damn pervy sage." Wait, Hinata activated her Byakugan. "We should follow him, and find out where he hides the most, before our move tonight. I can track his chakra with my Byakugan." Naruto grinned again, and replied, "I like the way you think, Hinata-chan." Hinata blushed faintly, both at Naruto's words and where she had found Jiraiya. Right now, Jiraiya-sensei's hiding in a bush, watching 5 girls in swimsuits, splashing each other in a lake. He has binoculars, so I guess he can do this from longer ranges. Right now, he's maybe 20 feet from them. Binoculars for longer ranges? Or maybe he has them so he can. Naruto started blushing too. Get a good look at specific parts of these girls? Hinata looked down, blushing deeper as her Byakugan shut down. "I feel dirty just talking about all of this but you seem to know a lot about this, And Naruto-kun, have you ever She started playing with her fingers. No, I don't do that. By now they were both bright red. I'm 12. He added desperately. Oh, okay. Hinata reactivated her Byakugan, with her cheeks still red. Jiraiya-sensei is giggling, and taking notes. Okay, the girls stopped splashing each other. He just used the body flicker. Hinata paused, and tracked the Toad Sage's chakra again. Now he's at a bathhouse. He used the transformation jutsu to turn into a woman with white hair. He's walking right in. If we tried to expose him there, Naruto said seriously, he'd change back and fight us. We're strong, but we can't fight a Sannin yet. We'd have to make our move when he's outdoors. Otherwise he'd see two unfamiliar ninjas coming through an entrance, and he'd attack first. After a few more minutes of watching Jiraiya at a long range, Hinata shut down her Byakugan. My eyes are starting to hurt, she admitted. From what I saw, it seems attacking at night is a bad idea. The best place for us to ambush him is at that lake, and who's going to swim there at night? So, tomorrow, he won't be expecting to see us at all, and we'll follow him to the lake, and blow his cover. Naruto grinned. That's the hardest part of the plan. After that it should all be easy as pie. Believe it, Naruto-kun. About that, why claim to be the leader of an S-rank team of missing nin? If you're just planning to, she trailed off, unwilling to speak the details of their plan out loud in a public training ground. It's still a prank on pervy sage, after all, Naruto replied, grinning. Trust me, at the end of the day Jiraiya-sensei's probably never gonna try this again. Or at least not here in Konoha. That'll get us more time to train with him, and people can have their privacy back. He paused. Besides, we have to have one identified member, so people like Hokage-sama can give us assignments. But you said we were going to, she trailed off again. Yeah, but not everyone's going to believe it, Naruto clarified. So you want us to accept missions while claiming to be S-rank shinobi? Isn't that dangerous? No, there's no way we could handle S-rank missions yet. But that's not the point. We're supposed to be just helping to protect Konoha, and that's something we could do. That's the real point. People will feel safer if they think Konoha has their own Akatsuki-level team of ninjas protecting them. Meanwhile, the people who believe the other story will tell their friends about the other part. A Sannin got caught peeping on girls, exposed by one genin with an accomplice who was probably also a genin. Hinata's eyes widened. I know we talked about this before, but it still amazes me. It's gotta be the biggest, most complex prank I've ever pulled, and if we make it work, it'll actually help Konoha. Naruto said excitedly. They're weaklings. All of them. Gaara scowled. Even their civilians are frilier than the weakest peasants we encountered on our way here. Their genin won't be much better. Gaara, Kankuro began hesitantly, we're not here to win the Chunin exams, remember? In the end, we'll be fighting Jounin and Anbu, just be patient. Gaara's arms were folded over his chest, and he kept walking, but he looked back over his shoulder at Kankuro. Kankuro shuddered. Gaara was only looking into the eyes of a disguised puppet, but the pure killing intent of his fellow Sand sibling was horrifying. Through his puppet's eyes, Kankuro saw the teal glare Gaara was piercing him with. I won't wait that long. I must continue to prove my existence, and if I must stalk a Chunin or Jounin to do that before the attack begins, I will do it. Or else, my existence will falter and fail. I cannot have that. Kankuro gulped, and his puppet nodded. If you have to do that, please, Gaara, keep it quiet. I will make an effort, Gaara replied, and faced ahead once more. It doesn't matter to me whether these people know of my existence, so I'll at least make an effort. Kankuro breathed out, shaking with relief. Those eyes, every time he even looks at me, I can feel the killing intent of that monster. I know he wouldn't hesitate to kill me if it helped him in any way. The Jinchuriki of the One-Tails led his brother and sister aimlessly throughout Konoha, and as he did, his growl of angry disappointment became louder and more obvious. Weaklings, he snarled again. It was sheer luck that one particular genin heard this voice as he passed, and turned to look at the speaker. Shikaka, Naruto breathed, and Hinata glanced at him with concern. That's the Jinchuriki of Shikaka. I recognized those rings around his eyes, the mark of the one-tailed tanuki. Gaara turned, interested by the name of his sealed demon. The two demon carriers made their way to each other, and Gaara confirmed, yes. Within me is sealed the one-tailed beast, Shikaka no Sabaku. Why does it matter to you? And how did you know? Naruto glanced around. I'd rather we talk about this somewhere private. Could the five of us maybe visit a ramen place? I'll pay. No, Gaara responded with a quiet growl. Tell me here, and right now. I'm the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, the Kyubi no Kitsune, Naruto admitted. I'm supposed to find all 8 other Jinchuriki so we can protect ourselves. From Akatsuki, he lowered his voice. Akatsuki exists to hunt us down and reassemble the bijou into the 10 tails. It's of no concern to me. Gaara stepped past Naruto. That's wrong. Gaara turned, piercing Naruto with the same look of fury he'd used on Kankuro. Naruto flinched, but continued, if the Akatsuki find you, they'll rip the one-tails right out of you, killing you in the process. And with the power they take from your corpse, they'll take over the world. I can protect myself, Gaara replied, but the other genin had his attention now. As for the other Jinchuriki, I hold no love for them. Even the entire rest of the world means nothing to me. I care for only myself, I love only myself, and I live only for myself. Naruto gritted his teeth, and would have loved to explode on Gaara, but he understood the delicacy of the situation. He replied quietly, "What do I have to do to make you listen? There's nothing you can do. I am here only to kill, and if we meet in the Chunin exams, I will kill you. I don't care about your intentions or Akatsuki's. If anyone faces me, I will kill them. Missing Nin, Genin, Jinchuriki, all of you. You're simply a means for me to prove the value of my existence. You exist solely to die, ideally by my own hand, then that's what I'll do." Gaara gave him a look of indifference mixed with confusion, until Naruto added, "I'll beat you in the Chunin exams, then maybe you'll listen to me." Gaara simply stared back at him, wearing an absolutely blank expression. "That's impossible," he finally declared. "Even if you were to do it, it wouldn't change me. I would still care only for myself and my continued existence, and I would kill you for your trouble." He started walking away again. "Wait! What's your name?" Naruto called. Gaara paused, and glanced back over his shoulder. "Gaara. Gaara no Sabaku. Got it. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. See you at the Chunin exams, we can settle this there." Gaara left, and his brother and sister followed. "Kankuro, Temari," he began after they had walked a considerable distance. "That one with the blonde hair is strong. You will not raise a weapon against him, he's mine." Gaara cracked a psychotic grin. "He's the one who will truly reinforce the value of my existence with his death." His eyes, they were strange, mother. Not the eyes we're looking for, but strange and interesting. "How so, child?" Shikaku replied, the voice resonating powerfully in Gaara's mind. "He doesn't seek to prove the value of his existence through killing someone. It's as though he believes his existence has already been proven. He has no doubt in his eyes, but no intent to kill either. He's not like me, but his existence felt very real. He isn't like the weaklings around us, which is why killing him will have so much importance. I must learn to do what he's done with his existence, to make himself so strong." Historically, shinobi wore black suits of soft, quiet cloth for stealth on missions, and such a uniform had once been everyday apparel for shinobi. In recent decades, shinobi such as the genin of Konoha had become accustomed to wearing civilian clothing like hoodies, often lightly colored ones. The advantages of a traditional ninja uniform were not to be underestimated, however, and that was why the third Hokage, for instance, still wore such a costume under his white and red robes. Naruto had managed to produce 2 such outfits, and had added panels of dark gray fur fitted snugly over the shoulders, creating a uniform for Niken. Over their right shoulders, the hilts of Naruto's and Hinata's cutlasses were ready to be drawn, and Naruto had tied a sash of dark orange cloth around his waist to complete his costume. His eyes were exposed through a slit in the black cloth that covered the rest of his face, whereas Hinata's mask had been sewn shut over her distinct, pearly lavender-white eyes. They'd also bought new weapons pouches and holsters in black. After spending his childhood evading angry civilians and even shinobi while dressed in neon orange, Naruto was rather confident he'd be completely invisible in these black robes, and he said as much. "Pervy Sage is never gonna see us coming, believe it." He grinned under his mask. Although he'd originally planned to use this costume to attack at night, hiding in the treetops with an outfit this comparatively subtle would be almost as effective. Hinata nodded. Her Byakugan was already active to see through the mask that covered her easily identified eyes. Naruto's, although distinctive with the black rings in his blue irises, would be less of a giveaway until he activated his Rinnegan, and since he was planning to be identified anyway, it was all for the best. Naruto kept all of this in mind as he led Hinata through the treetops, still grinning gleefully until he thought of Gaara. "Even a single Biju's power, channeled back into the Ten-Tails, you have to stop them, Naruto." His father's words echoed in his mind. "I can't let Gaara keep on fighting alone. It'd mean a potential apocalypse when Akatsuki gathers to take him in. But how am I supposed to get through to a guy like this?" He shook off the thoughts of the future, and concentrated on his present mission to bring down Jiraiya. The white-haired Sannin was currently giggling like an idiot, with his binoculars trained on the subtly bouncing chest of a woman who was laughing as her friend splashed her, just like yesterday. Naruto could have probably just walked right up to Jiraiya and shoved a Shinra Tensei into the back of his head, but he wasn't going to take any chances. He made a gesture with his hand, and pointed across the small lake. Hinata, who could see in all directions with her Byakugan, caught the message and leapt silently across the lake. One of the bikini-clad women happened to glance up and see Hinata sailing through the air, but she thought nothing of a ninja leaving Konoha, and Jiraiya didn't notice a thing. Said civilian witness resumed splashing her friends, giggling. Hinata landed in a tree across the lake, watching for Naruto's signal to make her presence known. Naruto, behind Jiraiya on the other side of the lake, dropped down out of the tree he'd been crouching in, and landed silently on his feet. Not even one twig snapped, not one leaf crunched under his soles as he approached Jiraiya. Even so, the Sannin might have detected Naruto if not for his distracting research. With his hand merely a foot from Jiraiya's white mane, Naruto activated his Rinnegan, and whispered, "Shinra Tensei." Jiraiya screamed as he was thrown into the lake, landing face first in the water between the young women he'd been spying on. It was like something out of his worst nightmares, as the shrieks of hentai. grew louder, Hinata leapt out of her hiding spot in the tree, landing on the surface of the water with chakra control so perfect that the water never even rippled under her feet. She withdrew a kunai from her black weapons pouch and tossed it up into the air. Naruto used the modified substitution jutsu to switch places with the kunai and landed at Hinata's side. "Listen up!" Naruto called, drawing the attention of the women and a brutalized Jiraiya. "This man, Jiraiya the Toad Sage, was spying on you, as I'm sure you've guessed by now. Such behavior is unacceptable here in Konoha, and since Konoha is under our protection, naturally we chose this moment to reveal our presence." He paused, and drew his cutlass, holding it over his head as Hinata did the same. "Our Niken. As long as we draw a breath, no harm will come to Konoha and its citizens, whether it's physical," they pointed their blades at Jiraiya, "or psychological trauma." He was rather proud of himself for memorizing and perfectly executing the speech. Meanwhile Hinata stayed silent, as her voice could identify her just as her eyes could. Niken sheathed their cutlasses, and Naruto finished. "Jiraiya, come with me." The Toad Sage looked up, with his right eye already developing a black ring beneath it, and he saw Naruto's Rinnegan. If it hadn't been for the pain, he might have actually grinned. Yeah, he groaned inwardly. He's Kushina's and Minato's kid, no doubt. But who the hell is he with? Hinata, or maybe that other genin on his team? As he stood on the surface of the water, he thought more about it. "All right, Niken," he held his hands out at his sides submissively. "You got me." The ninja next to Naruto stood in place, while Naruto himself approached and led Jiraiya in the general direction of Konoha. "So, he's got the chakra control to walk on water," Jiraiya noted. "Normal genin aren't even taught to tree walk in the academy, so just what else did you pick up with Hinata's help, Naruto?" When they were past the edge of the lake, Jiraiya let himself smirk. "Not bad, kid. You can take the mask off. Now what's all this about?" Naruto turned off his Rinnegan and removed his mask, also smirking. "Pervy Sage, this is about you spying on girls when you're supposed to be training me and Hinata. But that's only a part of it. Ninken's been working behind the scenes for a while now, but there's only so much we can do without the world knowing we exist." Jiraiya cocked an eyebrow. "Niken? Ninja hounds or ninja blades?" "That's right," Naruto replied ambiguously. "Niken. We're a team of ninja dedicated to protecting Konoha without orders from the Hokage, and my partner back there is probably explaining the exact same thing to those witnesses we just rescued. Most of our members are S-rank, and they answer to me, the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails." "You're the leader of an S-rank team of missing nin? You expect me to buy that?" Jiraiya laughed. "Your opinion doesn't mean much. The Hokage's opinion, and those of Konoha's shinobi and civilians, on the other hand." Naruto trailed off meaningfully. "Ah, now it's fitting together. Either Konoha believes your story, or by default they believe two genin took down the Toad Sage. Or was it really a genin with you? I can see you convincing Kiba Inuzuka to help you with this, from what I've heard of him, but he's not the right body shape. That was a girl you were with, and you'd never be able to convince Hinata to do this." "It was Hana Inuzuka, Kiba's sister, wasn't it?" Naruto remained silent and blank-faced. Jiraiya laughed again. "You just sold her out by saying nothing, kid. The Inuzuka are the only clan I can think of who have a sense capable of guiding them with their eyes covered, namely their sense of smell. Hana had her eyes covered, as well as the dead giveaway Inuzuka clan marks on her cheeks, as a display of her skill with her remaining four senses. You had to back up your S-rank claim somehow, am I right?" "It wasn't Hana. In fact, I'd never heard that name until you said it just now." "Kiba never mentioned his sister," Naruto replied evenly. Jiraiya considered this. "Then who? Like I said, S-rank ninjas. I never said we were all from Konoha." Naruto flashed a grin. "Now we're going to see Hokage-sama, and both try to tell on each other." Jiraiya nodded. "Well played, but like I said before, I don't buy it. And like I said before, it doesn't matter." Hiruzen Sarutobi smiled with genuine amusement. The effort in Naruto's scheme was to be applauded, but the third Hokage had been playing this game for far longer. He'd seen through to the truth almost instantly, thanks to Jiraiya delivering a detailed report just before Naruto began his story. "I suppose Hinata found this little event thrilling and romantic, taking on a Sannin with only each other for backup whilst claiming to be heroes. And so," Naruto finished, "I escorted Jiraiya-sensei here, knowing he'd expect to turn this incident against me and dodge the evidence, and so he was willing to come here to risk meeting his punishment." "I see." Sarutobi lit his pipe. "Who was your accomplice, really?" "I know she was a Konoha kunoichi." Naruto sighed in disappointment, "and I have a solid guess as to her identity, but I'd love to hear it from you. If I give you a name, it doesn't leave this room." "She'll receive no punishment of any kind for her involvement in this," Naruto replied adamantly. "As you wish, Hinata Hyuga." "What?" Jiraiya exploded. "But she was the first, the only person I ruled out, which is another thing that makes her the perfect partner for me to choose. Not to mention us being best friends for 2 years and now dating as well." Naruto turned a smug grin on Jiraiya. "She's the closest person to me in the world. What the hell possessed you to rule her out as a suspect? She looked too nice and innocent?" "She's a kunoichi." Jiraiya's mouth was hanging ever so slightly open. He opened it wider to speak, but no words came out, so he instead shut it properly. Moving on, the Hokage declared, getting the attention of both. Naruto, you're to publicly confess the nature of this prank tomorrow morning. The story will spread, and everyone will realize quickly enough that Nikken doesn't exist. Then, the old man's eyes narrowed. But you planned that as well? Naruto gave no response, and the Hokage finished, I'd expect this if you'd grown up friends with Shikamaru Nara, but as it stands I'm shocked. When did you develop this level of cunning, Naruto? About 2 years ago, when I started paying attention in history class, Naruto answered flatly. The 4 previous Hokage including my dad were all skilled at tricking people and outthinking them. I think Hashirama Senju put it best, a ninja must see through deception. He paused and laughed. I gotta be honest, Hokage-sama, I'm trying to pattern myself after you, the only surviving Hokage and the legendary professor of shinobi, he finished with respectful admiration. 2 years ago the Hokage mused. Around the time Hinata Hyuga made friends with you, that's right. I resolved myself to graduate in the same year she would, so I applied myself in class and learned that to fulfill my dream, to be the next Hokage, being powerful wasn't gonna be enough. So, I studied the strategies of the previous Hokage and their generals, including you, and I'll admit I forgot most of it, but hey, I can come up with stuff like this now, and that's enough. Sarutobi took a long drag on his pipe. My decision stands. Deny the existence of Nikken, control the confusion as best you can. Jiraiya, teach Naruto to use that sword, or if you can't, get Hate Gekko to do it. Hokage-sama? Jiraiya asked in confusion. I'm no good at taijutsu, Naruto clarified. Hokage-sama wants me to know how to use this sword, so my opponents will keep their distance, and I can properly use my ninjutsu. I see, Jiraiya nodded. Alright. Hyde's a great choice to teach Kenjutsu, the best swordsman in Konoha from what they tell me. That, however, he added, is gonna wait until you and Hinata survive the Forest of Death for 3 weeks, as promised. Forest of Death? Naruto gulped. Jiraiya grinned evilly. Payback time, kid? Naruto opened his eyes, and found himself once more in the vibrant meadow he had created for the Nine Tails. He glanced down at himself, and was reminded that he'd gone to sleep in his full Nikken uniform. The cutlass sheath on his back was empty, and he vaguely recalled laying the weapon on the lid of his father's heirloom trunk. The tips of Kyuubi's tails twitched as it noticed Naruto's arrival. Welcome back, it greeted half-heartedly. Naruto made his way to the wall of the golden cage. Hi, Kyuubi-san. Not for the first time, the demon fox turned to look at Naruto incredulously. I tire of your deceit. Tell me now, with absolute honesty, why you're doing all of this for me. He gestured around with one of his tails. When I grow hungry, mountains of delicacies present themselves. When I wish to sleep, a bed appears that I fit in. You've even allowed me to wander in this valley from time to time, that I might level forests and mountains as is my nature. But why? I don't understand, Naruto shrugged. You knew the Sage of Six Paths, right? The Kyuubi nodded. He was like a father to me. He was also a father to 2 human sons. The older brother inherited some form of the Rinnegan that eventually evolved into the Sharingan. The younger brother inherited the strength of his father's body and will, and apparently, Naruto pointed at his own Rinnegan, he got a dormant Rinnegan too. Anyway, the sage had to pick someone to succeed him, and the sage chose his younger son. Where are you going with this? I know it all already, so you know how the story ends except it doesn't end, does it? Naruto said sadly, and continued, the older brother attacked the younger, out of jealousy and hatred, and he became the first Uchiha. His younger brother survived, and founded the Senju clan. The two still hate each other, or at least they did, until both of them were nearly wiped out. Now there's maybe 4 or 5 Senju descendants left, including me, and Uzumaki. The Uchihas still have one genin in Konoha, a kid named Sasuke, and there's a guy named Itachi Uchiha who, like his family, succumbed to hatred and killed off his own clan. The Kyuubi's tails waved airily behind him, and he listened. Naruto kept talking, so you see, this hatred kept going for centuries, and thousands of people died because of it. And then, there's you and your hatred for humanity. It brought you here to Konoha, and now you're sealed inside me. By every example that's come before us, I should hate you for what you've done, but I paid attention in history class. I know how the story ends, it doesn't. You and I either spend the rest of my life hating each other, and you die when I do, or you break free and start killing people again. That's how everyone expects the story to end, or? The Kyuubi asked, now genuinely interested, or we can break the cycle. You and I are the only 2 people involved in the hatred now, there's no one to stop us from ending it forever. There were always a few Uchiha and Senju who said the hate should just stop, but their families were screaming for blood too loudly to notice. Now it's just you and me, and I'm telling you I want it to stop. Let's be friends, Kyuubi-san. Naruto stepped through the bars of the cage, and held out a hand for the 9-tailed demon fox to take. The Kyuubi stood and approached, teeth bared, but Naruto didn't move away. The boy was smiling, and with those eyes, you look just like my father. You even sound like him. My father? Naruto repeated, confused. But you and my dad only met to fight. No, fool, you misheard. My father. The Sage of Six Paths. The Kyuubi laid down in front of Naruto, tails swishing contently. My name is Kurama, now put your hand down, idiot child. Naruto lowered his hand, smiling. So, are we friends now, Kurama-san? Kurama bared his teeth in what might have been a smile. No. We've broken the cycle, as you put it. I no longer hate you. Perhaps I might even respect you, for what I see of the sage in you. But I won't call you a friend. The horrifying smile faded, and the tailed beast grew serious. I might have chosen this moment to offer you my chakra, but this seal prevents that completely. You're on your own, which is problematic, as I feel a storm coming. A storm? A war. Kurama, though stretched out on his belly, still had to gaze down on Naruto. I am a weapon to be wielded, boy, and having me sealed within you doesn't make you some ultimate chosen one. You're not the first, and you likely won't be the last Jinchuriki no Kyuubi. Akatsuki will come for me, and something tells me they will arrive soon. Naruto whitened. I'm not so much scared for me, or even Hinata, he thought aloud. We're strong, not strong enough. Kurama stood then, and glared down at Naruto. You've been training to fight Chunin-level genin, in an at least moderately controlled environment. To survive a meeting with even one of the Akatsuki, you need my chakra, which I cannot give you. Even before I was sealed in you, I knew of the power of Akatsuki. It would take perhaps 4 of them to defeat me in my true form, and you're nowhere near the level of a tailed beast. You may have the eyes of the sage, but you don't have his power. Naruto sighed. What I was gonna say is that if they go for Gaara instead of me, the Jinchuriki of Shikaku. Why do you worry for him? He'll die if they catch him, and if they get Shikaku from him they can merge it back into the 10 tails. So your real goal is to stop Akatsuki. Kurama laughed grimly. I'm almost glad to know that. If you were obsessed with protecting the boy himself, it would indicate irrevocably skewed priorities. You've talked to him once, and he intends to kill you. Still you seek to protect him? How do you know all of this? Naruto asked suspiciously. The tailed beasts have a limited form of telepathy, enough that I can see through your eyes in the waking world, now that we've established this familiarity. Kurama paused. All this being said, why do you care for Gaara's safety at all? Naruto didn't immediately answer, instead he ran a hand through his hair, deep in thought. After careful consideration, he began, I honestly don't know. Maybe it's because I feel bad for him, maybe I see him as the monster I could have been, but maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe my purpose in life is to save people. Kurama rumbled. Your purpose, but you've never mentioned such a thing before. Always, it's been to be Hokage, that is my dream. I've seen it countless times in your memories. Yeah. I want to be Hokage, Naruto agreed. But I can't stand the thought of someone dying if I could have saved them. I guess that's why, but I haven't figured all of this out yet. Let's just keep it simple. I want to save people. Gaara's one of them. Saving him will also prevent Akatsuki from taking over the world. He paused. Wait, you've seen my memories? All of them, Kurama confirmed. I began watching your life story when I was roused by your accessing my chakra in the land of waves. It was only for a brief moment, but yes, you've done it before, so you've lived all the things I have. Then Naruto stopped to consider this. The nine-tailed demon fox had now read all the same manga as him, tasted the same delicious ramen, had suffered the misery of loneliness as he had. Kurama now remembered what it was like to have a friend in Hinata, to graduate from the Genin Academy, to watch Hinata die and return to life. Naruto blushed, as the realization hit him like a brick wall. You saw me and Hinata kiss, you've seen me naked in every shower I've ever had, you know about the sexy jutsu? Okay, Naruto began, scratching the back of his neck nervously. I came up here to tell you all the truth. Staring back at him, and the third Hokage at his side, was most of Konoha, civilian and shinobi alike, at the foot of the Hokage monument. For most of my life, I've dreamed of having you all listening, even for just a moment, so thank you for coming. Niken doesn't exist. Most of the crowd started glancing to their neighbors for answers. Yeah, I know. Most of you haven't heard the story yet, so I'll tell you now. I, with the help of one other genin whose name won't be revealed, orchestrated a plan to catch the Sannin Jiraiya in the act of spying on girls. Our plan was to make it look like we weren't genin at all, but S-rank shinobi working together under the name of Niken to protect Konoha. After we revealed Jiraiya's presence to 5 civilian witnesses, I escorted him to Hokage-sama, although he could have easily escaped or defeated me. That part of the plan, revealing my own identity, was supposed to look like an accident. Anyway, what I'm getting at is Naruto paused, catching a glimpse of a very familiar face in the crowd. A face with a permanent smirk beneath 2 crimson marks on his cheeks, framed by shaggy brown hair packed into a white hood. Then, Kiba vanished again. What I'm getting at is that Niken exists, but we're just 2 normal Konoha genin. You expect us to buy that? Said a jounin near the front of the crowd, 2 genin taking down the legendary Jiraiya? This is a cover story, and a stupid one too. Before the crowd could start agreeing firmly, Naruto spoke up. If that's what you want to believe, fine. Whether Niken exists or not, whether we're S-rank or genin or both, doesn't bother me either way. The crowd quieted down at that, surprised. If I had my way, I'd prefer everyone to think Niken was real, since it would scare missing nin organizations like Akatsuki into hesitating before they attacked Konoha. But Hokage-sama asked me to come out here and tell you the truth. I can't force you to pick one story over the other, and hey, both of them make me look pretty good. Oh, Naruto added, before I go, one more thing. He flashed one of the biggest grins of his life, and activated his Rinnegan proudly. You're gonna see me up here again one day. I finally have the chance to tell all of you. I'm gonna be the next Hokage. He roared. Naruto Uzumaki, the 5th Hokage, believe it! Naruto stepped into the crowd. In his black Niken outfit rather than neon orange, he seemed to disappear completely to the eyes of the civilians. He was still grinning, giddy with the joy of finally telling them all at once. Niken. I want in, Kiba whispered suddenly in his ear. Naruto whirled, but Kiba was already blending perfectly into the crowd. As quickly as he had appeared, the third member of Team 8 was gone. The blonde genin sighed with disappointment, then continued his escape from the mob around him. 1 month later, Chunin exams. Kiba Inuzuka leaned comfortably on the wall behind him, scratching a sleepy Akamaru behind his soft white furred ears. Asuma's hand kept instinctively twitching toward the pack of cigarettes in his flak jacket, but this was still the Genin Academy, and he couldn't smoke here, much to his discomfort. Kiba, meanwhile, noted this as the beginning of the second happiest moment of his life, surpassed only by the day he'd met Akamaru. After 2 months of near non-stop training with a Jounin, he'd completely mastered his new weapon that could be called secret for only a few more hours at best. When Naruto and Hinata get here, he grinned in anticipation. A mere 3 days into their training, he and Asuma had come up with the concept for their new jutsu, and now it was complete, just in time for his all but guaranteed graduation through the Chunin exams. A new A rank, potentially S rank ninjutsu only he and Asuma knew. Kiba's grin broadened, and he declared, I can smell Naruto and Hinata. They're coming down the hallway now. He and Asuma turned to look, and saw their 2 remaining partners appear around the corner at the end of the hall. Hinata apparently expected some degree of stealth test. She'd exchanged her beige-white hoodie for a slightly less bulkier black one, with black sweatpants as well. Naruto was wearing his old neon-orange jumpsuit, or so it initially appeared. Kiba's and Asuma's keen eyes immediately spotted the sole difference from his old costume. This new jumpsuit covered his legs completely, instead of stopping at mid-calf. He was also wearing black, traditional shinobi footwear instead of his old blue sandals. The hilt of his Niken cutlass hung over his right shoulder. Kiba-kun! The two greeted happily, slightly out of sync. Hinata had spoke first while Naruto's eyes briefly widened, then returned to normal. And Asuma-sensei, Hinata added. Kiba sniffed once, confirming that no one was hiding within hearing range. It's been a month, Naruto. Do you remember what I said? Naruto-kun, you saw Kiba-kun? Hinata questioned, surprised. No, Naruto replied. I heard him, but didn't see him, when I told the village about Niken. I kinda thought I'd imagined it anyway, apparently not. I wanna join Niken, Kiba paraphrased what he'd said then. Hinata paled, but Naruto chuckled, scratching the back of his neck. Just to be clear, Kiba, Niken was just me and Hinata-chan pranking the pervy sage. I still want in, Kiba repeated. How do I sign up? Asuma watched this exchange with mild interest. Naruto, meanwhile, held out his right hand, palm up, and intoned, Azura Path, Forge Level 1. Kiba's eyes widened as a sticky-looking mass of liquid steel formed above Naruto's hand, shaping into a cutlass not unlike his own, but with a handle of cold steel rather than polished wood. We all carry one of these. I just made this with my chakra, so it's not exactly a quality weapon, but it's a lightweight lethal tool you might as well have. Kiba took the blade, while Naruto created a scabbard of the same metal, and a sash from thin links of chain. Kiba hung the completed sword and sheath over his back as Naruto had done. So, what else did you guys learn while I was gone? Naruto drew his own, better-made Uzumaki cutlass, grinning excitedly. I spent the last 2 weeks learning how to use this, from a Tokubetsu Jounin named Hade Gecko. He's a master of Kenjutsu. Before that, me and Hinata were doing survival training. Flashback. Jiraiya formed a single-hand seal, and declared with malice, multiple shadow clone jutsu. 24 copies of the Toad Sage sprinted at full speed into the Forest of Death, leaving behind the original, Naruto, and Hinata. Jiraiya ordered, get in there and kill all those clones. I'll be sending in 24 more, every 3 days, until the full 21 days are over, at which point the remaining clones will gather at the tower in the center of this forest, and you'll have to defeat every survivor if you want to leave. Naruto and Hinata shivered, and flashback. And before that I was improving my Rinnegan. Hinata beamed despite the memories of their painful survival training, and showed Kiba her Rasengan. And I learned this, she continued proudly. An A-rank ninjutsu developed by the 4th Hokage. While Naruto-kun was learning to use his sword, I was improving my skill with it. If I had a little more time, I might have figured out a way to pair it with the water release, but she trailed off in disappointment. So, what did you learn with Asuma-sensei? Kiba simply grinned again, as did Akamaru. Ah, no way! Naruto groaned. You're gonna play this a surprise card? We showed you ours, Kiba shrugged. Ah, fine. He brought his hands up, and the other two genin expected a hand seal sequence, but instead Kiba punched his left palm. Both his hands burst into flame. Fire release Akamaru leapt from his hoodie, landing on his paws even as he was wrapped in crimson flame. Hellhound flame armor. Kiba was also consumed in bright red fire chakra. As quickly as it appeared, however, the fire auras were extinguished, leaving Naruto and Hinata with no idea what the jutsu was supposed to actually do. Naruto squinted. That was cool, but what's it for? Winning the Chunin exams, along with every fight I'm in for the rest of my life, Kiba announced smugly. Before anyone could respond to the boast, Asuma opened the door to the exam room, which genin were forbidden to do through a seal on the door. This way, incomplete genin teams, or teams who hadn't been approved for the exam by their jounin teacher, were kept out of the potentially lethal tests they'd likely fail. Team 8, Asuma commanded, go win your promotions, and come back in one piece. One by one, the genin nodded, and stepped through the doors. Naruto sheathed his cutlass, of which he was rather fond by now. He spotted the other 3 Konoha genin teams, including Lee, who waved with a grin. There were also over 3 dozen teams of genin he'd never seen before, a dozen shinobi in flak jackets who could have been either Chunin or Jounin, and a trio of Suna genin, including Gaara. Shikaku Kurama growled with hate in his tone. What I wouldn't give to take your body, Naruto, and tear that boy to shreds, Naruto gasped aloud. Kurama-san. I'd really appreciate it if you'd stop scaring me like that. I'm not used to hearing voices in my head yet. Kurama remained silent for a moment, then spoke more quietly. I see, and you can't kill Gaara. Even if we had the option of sharing this body properly, even if I trusted you enough to take that option, and I don't yet, I'm hoping to save Gaara, if at all possible. I acquiesce to that course of action, but that doesn't mean I like the idea of sparing Shikaku. As such, I will continue to say so. Gaara turned, locking his hateful teal eyes with Naruto's sealed Rinnegan. Naruto took this as an opportunity to initiate a conversation with his fellow Jinchuriki, and approached Gaara. Uzumaki, Gaara greeted with a quiet growl. I look forward to killing you, he announced bluntly. Naruto shrugged. I'm not sure if that's a compliment anyway. I've been doing some research since we met last. Let me show you something. He pulled a piece of folded paper from his weapons pouch, torn on one edge, and unfolded it. On it was an illustration of a fuinjutsu, consisting of a spiral surrounded by 8 complex swirling symbols in 2 sets of 4. This is the 8 trigram seal. A fuinjutsu. Gaara inspected the seal, considering this. The seal you bear to contain the kyubi? That's right, Naruto nodded. I did some research on some of the similar seals Suna has access to. Even the strongest seals they have wouldn't be able to separate a Biju's mind from its Jinchuriki. What I'm getting at is, you can't sleep, can you? Gaara's black-ringed eyes narrowed. What's your point? My point is that I can sleep at night, without fear of the kyubi. Naruto decided not to mention his improving relationship with the demon, because this seal, the 8 trigrams, is way stronger. So I'll make you a deal, Gaara. I'll learn how to apply the 8 trigram seal, even if it takes me years to do it, and I'll seal Shikaku from you properly. You'll be able to sleep at night. In exchange, you help me find the other 7 Biju, and their Jinchuriki if they're sealed, so we can all fight together against Akatsuki. Gaara blinked, and took the piece of paper. This seal, with this, I can sleep? Don't do it, son! It's a trick, that seal will kill us. Gaara groaned in sudden agony, and doubled over, drawing confused stares from the other genin surrounding them, and a concerned one from Naruto. But that makes no sense, mother! He protested feebly. He knows I'd asked to see his seal, and if it matches. No! Shikaku roared. You will not, but I want to sleep, mother. I want to close my eyes and dream. Gaara screamed as Shikaku increased his volume tenfold, but after a few moments the tailed beast fell silent, fuming. Uzumaki, show me your seal. Naruto lifted his shirt, and an exact duplicate of the symbol on the paper faded into place on his belly. So it's true, mother, he murmured. We have nothing to fear. He'll help us. Naruto tried to figure out what Gaara was talking about, but got nowhere. Uzumaki. We will fight in this exam. You and I are far above these others, and it's impossible anyone else could eliminate one of us. Defeat me, and I'll accept this deal. Lose, and I'll kill you.